You guys have to be embroiled in one community. Death is not an option. You must choose. Would you rather be a part of the Minecraft YouTuber community or the Brony community? You have to choose. You have to choose. One or the other. Death is not an option, as per usual. Let me know your thoughts. You know when Lio Convoy is the voice of a reason, you're cooked, right? Like, everybody sees this. Everybody sees this. I have waited many moons for this. This is my Roman Empire. BECKETT of Crabs, Cope and Seeth on YouTube, finally made his video on I Love Kim Possible a Lot, / Saberspark, / DA Games, / Black Griffin, / The Cloppening, / Bronies, / Brony Fan Don't, etc., etc., etc. So that's what we're going to watch today. I watched maybe 10 minutes of this yesterday, and I was like, oh no. I need my emotional support, mamacitas, and my solitaire to get through this. And I know that a lot of you guys were unable to watch without commentary, so I'm here to, you know, be a buffer, if you will. This video is 2 hours fucking long. Okay, guys, 2 hours fucking long. So we're gonna do our darndest. Okay, too long didn't read. I'll switch this over really quick. Okay, too long didn't read. I Love Kim Possible a Lot, our queen right here, decided to do a hit piece on Saberspark, accusing him of rape in the first degree with no evidence, okay? And when Kim Possible a Lot did her video, she just kind of haphazardly tacked on the allegations against Saberspark in her growing list of people that she fucking hates. I Love Kim Possible a Lot did an interview with BECKETT, etc., etc., etc. So I was under the impression that BECKETT was going to get his giant broom, his giant push broom, and sweep. To my understanding, my impression going in is that BECKETT just thinks that KP is dumb and that she was bamboozled, tricked, deceived, discombobulated, mind raped, whatever phrase that you want to use, into making this hit piece. I disagree with that perspective. I think that Kim Possible is dumb, not stupid. Okay. I think that she has been around on the internet long enough. I think that she knows better. And I know that she knows better because she made an incredibly successful hit piece against Lily Orchard. But she didn't have a grudge against Lily Orchard. That's the difference. Everybody that she included in her hit piece that has now been taken down, those are all people that she has grudges against. That's why I think that the Lily Orchard video was so successful. Is because she didn't have like an emotional stake in it. She didn't hold like a grudge. She didn't have time for negative feelings to sit and fester, right? This is like 12-year-old drama, okay? This was during Obama's first term of presidency, okay? That's how old this fucking drama is, okay? And so only a very vindictive, evil person would allow that to fester in their heart for so long. So let's not waste any time. This is an incredibly long video, you guys. Let's go ahead and lock the fuck in, and we're just gonna send it, okay?
You know, normally, I love it when my autistic obsession with the Brony community breaks into more mainstream commentary, but this particular drama is one that I very nearly didn't cover at all. Because when the allegations made by I Love Kim Possible a Lot against Saberspark dropped, I was already aware of their connection to the wider Black Griffin drama, which, I'll be honest with you, is a complete bloody headache. Now, while this video won't go into detail about those allegations, understanding that wider drama, which revolves around and indeed hinges upon persuading somebody's wife that their now husband groomed them, is unfortunately the only way to actually explain why any of this happened at all. So while my long-term dodging of this story might make me a bit of a Johnny-come-lately, I've put in work over the last week or so to really unpick what's been happening behind the scenes to give you all a clear view of the insanity that's been occurring. And I do mean insanity, because what I have for you today is a drama that stretches back over a decade, all the way to the animation analysis community. I've heard your house described as the home for wayward bronies, to be fair to her.
Does anybody know what the House of Wayward Hoes is? Does anybody know what that is? That's deep lore, you guys. Welcome to the internet.
Yeah, it was that way for a long time until I got over it.
I'm kind of fascinated just at hearing stories about her at cons. Was she just always this crazy?
Rachel?
Hang on, we're going to boost this a little bit more. I can see that I'm peaking, but for whatever reason, this isn't. I'm on 250. Let's try that.
Crazy isn't the right word.
Better.
Entitled is the right word. Clueless is the right word.
So welcome to the rabbit hole, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to show you what happened to all those people who used to unironically refer to themselves as horse famous. Let's get into it.
You know who's horse famous? Not so erudite. I'm sorry. I disavow. Sorry, that was a really fucked up joke. I'm learning. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. Please don't cancel me.
With sacrifices putting children at risk, if you don't want to publicly speak out about this behavior, your fans aren't your peers.
Something better.
It's because I go outside, Keldoch. You should go outside.
Come out of this if you fucking talk to us.
Firstly, given that this is a drama finding its origin points back in 2012, as you can imagine, there are a fair amount of moving parts and various parties who are involved. But my interest lies almost solely, at least at the moment, in the allegations being leveled against Saberspark, and frankly, how they were
The House of Wayward Hose was Grace Thorpe. If you want to know anything about that, FPS Diesel has a really good video about it. Wow, the House of Wayward Hose was what the Thorpes called their basically e-prostitute ring that never really went anywhere because nobody that was involved in the e-prostitute ring had any riz, just so you know. And then, not so erudite being horse famous, it's because she got kicked in the head by a horse. I'm sorry.
Formed in the first place. So, we're actually going to begin on May the 1st this year, when I Love Kim Possible, also known as KP, released a video she'd been working on for the last several months on DA games. Now, KP has been knocking around YouTube for a significant period of time, with a channel dating back to 2007, though she'd reached the height of her popularity in 2014, having started to gain traction in the brony community in 2013. Now, I have a soft spot for this little community, because it's produced some fantastic dramas over the years. Regular viewers will be aware of my obsession with the creator from this community, known as Toon Critic, who was caught trying to solicit nudes from a minor through My Little Pony erotic roleplay.
A brony reviewer named Toon Critic Y2.
This kind of shit, the internet has taken me to places I wouldn't go in real life with a fucking gun, dude. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? My Little Pony erotic roleplay. Getting drunk at Christmas time and traumatizing my grandma by explaining My Little Pony erotic roleplay. What the fuck, bro?
2K, a person with whom I and many others have worked, has been engaging in sexually explicit chats with an underage girl. Many of us reacted with shock, confusion, anger, and sadness.
While cartoon analysis as a content bracket has expanded over the years, its origin and indeed its popularity can firmly be attributed to the insane popularity of My Little Pony, particularly amongst a certain demographic.
Yeah, I was about to say, the popularity of My Little Pony, I think it's fine if, like, little kids love My Little Pony. But after the age of, God, I don't know, maybe 14, it's time to pack it up, you know? It's time to leave childish things behind, as they say, and children's cartoons is one of those things.
This is, of course, also true of DA Games and Saberspark, and the footage I'm using at the moment is from Saberspark's own documentary on the brony fandom, which he made to celebrate the community. While this all sounds very pleasant and nice, it probably won't come as a surprise to many of you that the history of the brony fandom is basically a smorgasbord of allegations. And while this may sound slightly callous, it doesn't surprise me.
You guys have to be embroiled in one community. Death is not an option. You must choose. Would you rather be a part of the Minecraft YouTuber community or the brony community? You have to choose. You have to choose. One or the other. Death is not an option, as per usual. Let me know your thoughts.
Me to watch this current drama unfold in the way that it has. Allow me to be blunt for a second. The allegations against Saberspark and indeed DA Games do not exist within a vacuum. They form part of a long-running pattern for
What's with British people and talking slow? Name a better combo.
This particular fandom. Firstly, there is an inherent problem of the brony demographic. We are talking about adult men who are obsessed with a child's cartoon show aimed at little girls.
Yeah,
and that
pretty
particular
weird.
overlap attracted an awful lot of nonsense into the community. But
True.
there is a secondary element which many of you will not be aware of. And it's the reason that we're even talking about this in 2025, considering it concerns events all the way back in 2012. The brony fandom actively encouraged people who'd gone through abusive situations to forgive their abusers and shut the fuck up about it.
If we withhold forgiveness, it does not harm the wrongdoer in any way. I realize that forgiveness is not, and never was, for the benefit of the wrongdoer. It is for our own benefit. It is what enables us to finally release the anger, the resentment, the hurt, the poison that slowly turns our...
This is a strong Christian message, and I completely agree, you guys. Forgiveness is an incredible tool of healing, okay? Forgive them, Father. They know not what they do. Amen. Amen. Can we get an amen in chat? Holy fuck, wow, that's deep.
Our hearts black.
And that really wouldn't change until 2018, when Lio Convoy came onto the scene.
You guys, I cannot get over Lio Convoy's setup. I can't fucking get over it. I can't get over it. We have a wine glass full of fucking Mountain Dew. And then all the dead cats are on the mantle. There's like 5 fucking dead cats just in the shot. Rest in peace, little dudes, but holy fuck. Do you think that he harvested their dead fur to make this mask? He like taxidermied his dead fucking cats to make this mask. Like, pretend that you're high as fuck on mushrooms and somebody's like, I have something for you to watch. POV, I'm your trip sitter. And I turn on a Lio Convoy video. Dog, I'm killing myself. Oh my fucking god, bro.
The cartoon analysis community is Lio Convoy's origin story. We'll come back to this in a bit because it's another piece in the puzzle which is going to become relevant later, but the relevance of that culture of silence that existed explains why we're now litigating these dramas years later, because any discussion of them at the time would have been quickly shut down. And it also became a bit of a trend for people with pre-existing grudges to happily run allegation stories on people they didn't like with fairly flimsy evidence. And yes, KP's video fits firmly within this trend. In fact, within KP's Discord, there exists an archived thread of safety reports. These safety reports are basically Google documents on people who are problematic within the community, be they child groomers or just slightly annoying. The idea being...
This reminds me of that old Vine, you know, where it's like there's only one thing worse than a rapist, and then he pulls the piece of paper off and it says child, so it says child rapist, and he goes, oh, a child, no. Like, this is just schizophrenia, dude. This is just schizophrenia. How many of you guys have like dozens of Google documents set aside to archive people that have wronged you on the internet? Like, this is just untreated, unmedicated schizophrenia. That's all this is. This is this is something, dude. This is something.
Being to spread awareness to the wider community or anyone who may come across these individuals. The video KP was doing on DA Games was a safety report. But it's probably helpful to you, and because I don't want to pick through a 2-hour video breaking it down, to just hear from KP herself regarding the timeline and motivations behind the video.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Let's start giving just a brief background on how you ended up in the kind of... I know you've got a fairly long history with these kind of communities anyway, but why were you making a video about the DA group story in the first place?
Because of Chris.
Oh wow, you really don't know anything. So the original video was supposed to be about Chris. Chris was an ex-employee of mine that I found out made up a story about, to be blunt, jerking off to my clothes in a con and bragging about it. Was never told that story.
Pog. I'll never get over this. Again, this is what sealed the deal for me in regard to Kim Possible. Is like, how the fuck are you gonna clip this dishonestly and frame it in your video like Chris is like a giga rapist because he told a joke? How are you gonna clip it dishonestly to make it look like he actually did it? That was kind of where I was like, nah, dude, fuck KP. That's crazy. Fuck KP, that's crazy. That's crazy. Maybe with like the Saberspark thing, you could make an argument like maybe her heart was in the right place, you know, maybe she was led astray, da-da-da. But that shows like maliciousness, right? Like that shows malice of forethought, right? Like she thought about that. She edited it. She listened to it back multiple times, understood how it was being conveyed, and decided to leave it clipped like that without any clarity on purpose. That was a conscious, calculated decision. And that's way worse than like, oops, I fucked up. Because like, yeah, guys, everybody's human, everybody makes mistakes, yada, yada, yada. But that showed that she meant to do that. And I think that's fucked up.
Story. So a whistleblower told me it. Confronted Chris, recorded that call. Chris admitted to it. Contacted DA Games and Saber to see if they were going to do anything. I contacted Saber through his employees because I don't really like Saber, but I felt like it was fair to give him a heads up. And same with DA. DA was, I think all those emails are in the video if you want to like find a mirror and get them.
Yeah,
there.
the Karen emails.
The emails were essentially, hey, seems like this is handled, like go away. And then I was like, well, we're gonna release this publicly as a safety report, so like, do you have any comment? And then they started getting really frazzled, and they tried to
just think about how insane this is. You work for a company, somebody emails you, hey, just so you know, during Obama's first term of presidency, one of your employees that didn't work for you made a weird sex joke to me and then apologized, quote unquote, profusely for it. Just as a heads up. And they're like, oh, Thanks for letting me know. We'll talk to him about it. Nito, sorry that happened. Mashallah, sister. And then they're like, I'm also going to talk about this publicly. I'm going to let everybody know about this thing that happened during Obama's first term of presidency, this joke that this employee made that doesn't even work for your fucking company anymore. Yeah, they're going to be like, dude, you need to chill the fuck out. Yes. Like, the problem is nobody checked her before she wrecked herself. And she certainly wrecked herself quite impressively. It's like, yeah, that's fucking crazy, dude. Anybody else would just filter that as spam and block the sender. That's crazy. That's insanity.
Use British law to convince me not to release it, even though the laws didn't make any sense.
Now, I'd like to
Not
pause
the
here for a
Brits.
moment, because the elements involving Chris deserve further examination. I've now heard that full call, and what was initially presented was an edited version of a much longer conversation.
True.
Within this longer conversation, Chris takes full accountability of his
He
actions,
does. Mhm.
he apologizes repeatedly, and makes clear notes of actions he has taken over the years to correct these behaviors. These communities talk an awful lot about people taking accountability, and that if people do take accountability and apologize for their actions, mostly they can just get on with their lives afterwards. So it confused me quite a lot to hear Chris do all the things you are meant to do and still be expected to face serious repercussions. We are talking
True.
about a single instance over a decade ago with seemingly no repeat behaviors. The
True.
idea someone should be fired over this is frankly absurd.
I agree.
And so I went back
Joker.
to KP to ask her about it. Because I went looking through some of the Chris stuff, KP, and I'll be honest with you, it's very difficult with the Chris stuff, because what I've got your section of the video, which is a 2-minute cut, and that's a condensed version of the full call, which isn't noted as condensed version in your video. And then I've listened to the full call, and Chris is highly apologetic, takes full accountability for his actions, explains to you that, you know, where he was at the time, the fact that he has sought therapy, and to modify that behavior. He's not making excuses for it, he's literally just actually taking account. So I'm trying
Oh, here it is. This was in October 2024. Hey, can I have Barbie's contact info? I want to get her opinion on a case that I'm dealing with. And then I put you guys in a group chat. And then she asked me to do a voice call. She said, oh, I'm having an upcoming expose. I want to know if you want any dib rights to coverage of it as far as coverage. And I said, tell me more. And she said, would you prefer a call or text? And I said, text. I am violently hungover and haunting my house, which I was. And then she sent me part of these emails. I don't think that I actually read these, to be completely fucking honest with you. I was haunting my house. I was violently hungover. I don't think that I had the ability to read these. And then I asked her if she talked to Barbie about it. And then I said it's quite telling that the first instinct was an NDA, because I kind of briefly looked over these. And then she said, once it gets closer, I'll give you a heads up and we can do a premiere. And I said, sure. And then January, she sent me a tweet and I never responded to it. And then the day before the video, she said, do you want any info about the video drop tomorrow? And I said, sure, but I'm keeping my hands clean of everything. I'm just a peaceful observer. And she said, if you're taking a break, it's all good. And I said, I don't mind being in the know, but I don't want to be directly involved. And she said, that's fine, all good then. And that's the last time that we spoke. Yes, I do remember this. Yeah, dude, oh my God. I'm so old, you guys. When I was in college, let me tell you, when I was in college, I would be at the bar until it closed at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'd be like puking on my way home from the bar, like so fucking drunk. And then I'd get home, go to bed, get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to work. 4 hours of sleep. I'd get up and I'd go to work and I'd feel fine. Sometimes I would even get up in the morning and go to the gym. Okay? After literally drinking from like 3 o'clock to 2 in the morning. And then just get up and be fine. Now I have like one White Claw and I am violently ill for like 3 business days. It's insane. I understand why everybody who is like an adult has a Coke problem. Because after the age of like 25, there's no way that you can survive drinking. It's fucking impossible. It's fucking impossible. I have to have like an IV station set up at my fucking house if I'm going to drink. It's terrible.
I don't understand why you felt it was necessary to make a video on him, or why he should be fired for something that happened a decade ago and he has apologized for.
Hang on, let me go back. Hang on.
You felt it was necessary to make a video on him, or why he should be fired for something that happened a decade ago and he has apologized for.
Hang I guess I just wanted a sense of accountability, if that makes sense. Like, I get your point, though.
No.
It's very difficult, because what does accountability look like? I mean,
Good question.
again, he didn't actually assault anybody. He made up a weird story, which is very fucking weird. I agree with you.
It's very weird. I agree.
But he's, you know, if accountability is you should lose your job, your livelihood, and everything else, I mean, would you agree that's fairly extreme?
I think,
smooth
like,
jazz.
maybe, like, some sort of statement from him, too, might have helped. Like, no, I get your point, though. Like, that this was a thing that happened.
Okay, but okay. The way that she's answering these questions is really funny to me because it's very obvious she's never thought about it. She would just kind of go gadget rape discourse, unfortunately. That seems to be the vibe here. But, like, if you confronted Chris privately about it, why would he need to make a public statement? Like, you're the only person that it affected. It wasn't like a public joke. It's not like he got on Twitter, you know, with 10,000 followers and was like, yo, I jizz in KP's undies, dog. It was a private, closed-door joke that only a few people heard. You wanted to talk to him in private to see his side of things. He apologized. Like, why would he apologize publicly for something that happened in private fucking during Obama's first term, before Obama had gray hair, when Obama was young? Okay?
Really damaged some relationships that I was working on with at the time. And that kind of sucks, but I see what you mean.
Because I will say, like, from talking to a few other people who've been going over this, I mean, the Chris stuff is a point that's kind of come up again and again. It's like, you know, I see a lot of stories about people who are, like, abusers, who've, like, had sexual conversations around and with kids. I think there's a current drama going on over again, some stuff that happened, like, 5 years ago. And one of the particular people involved in that, you know, he's in trouble now because he's sort of pushing back after sort of acknowledging what he's done to this person. But the kind of prevailing thing is like, well, if you just said, yeah, that was a fuck up, and I was a bit weird, and I'm sorry, no one would care. But with Chris, you've got literally the reverse of that situation where he does admit it's a fuck up, says that he's sorry, and it's like, that feels like it's not enough 2 years later. So
No, it's not.
Yeah,
He has to die.
I think that's something that you are going to catch flack for.
I think it was also, no, that's fair. I think it was also, I was frustrated with, like, I think I wanted some accountability. I was frustrated with the responses I was getting, and I was frustrated that no one was like...
What accountability? Beckett, this is my criticism of Beckett. Put your knee on her neck and apply pressure. What do you mean? What other accountability did you want? Kneel on her, crush her beneath your boot. Okay? She's a weaselly little liar, dude. She's a dirty little tattletale rat.
Fucking little tattletale rat.
Kneel on her. Deprive her brain of oxygen. Well, hypothetically, maybe in another timeline, do you think that maybe perhaps she could have maybe eventually done this in a different... It's like electric chair. Get her! Get her! Smoke her! It's like when you see cops pull over sovereign citizens. I'm like, don't even talk to them. Literally break their window and tase them. Don't even talk to them. As soon as they say, I don't need a driver's license to drive, I'm not driving, I'm traveling, bust the window and tase that bitch. Escalate to extreme violence immediately, okay? That's the kind of country that I want to live in, okay? And that's what Beckett should be doing. I understand he probably wants to preserve, you know, the relationship because he might have more questions later, da-da-da-da-da. I don't care. Chokehold her. Grab his dick and twist it. Grab his dick and twist it. Get her. Get her.
Offering to help fix it. It was just more like, you know, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I'm accountable.
What does fixing it look like to you?
Oh. I was too eager. I'm sorry. Ooh. That's embarrassing. My point still stands. Beckett is the cop in this situation, and I fully support unsanctioned use of force against Kim Possible. I'm just gonna say it.
Maybe some kind of public acknowledgement or something because it had reputational damage, but also maybe like actually proving
what reputational damage. It was done in private. Beckett, say this. But Kim, her name isn't even Kim. But Kim, It was uttered in private. What reputational damage to the 5 sweaty Discord moderators that he told it to? What reputational damage? Ask that!
He went to have some sensitivity training or something and not just saying that.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I mean, because when I watched through your video, he seems to say in his public statement, yes, this is a thing that happened and I needed to work on, and I'm sorry.
Do you guys believe in, like, zodiac signs and shit like that? Is anybody, like, an astrology girly? Because I've been told that a big weakness of an Aries is impulsivity and impatience, okay? And I think that's true. I think that's true. And anytime that I can deflect my flaws onto something that's entirely outside of my control so I don't have to take accountability, I will do that. So, it's because I'm an Aries.
I mean, it was, it's a very corporate statement in some regards. I think that's fair. But it's like, publicly, this was acknowledged as a thing that did happen with Chris, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think there is a spiraling element here.
You guys know who also was an Aries? Hitler.
Oh, I should clarify that it was only acknowledged publicly. I felt he might be a little bit dangerous just because he was kind of lying about those kind of experiences on top of when I looked into the video game stuff too. I don't know if you've gotten there, but there's a lot of like gross behavior there. So it just seemed like these people weren't accountable for themselves as well. So I guess it became a bigger scope to me once Games was not really willing to work with me, and then once some of the game's victims found me and they were like, oh, this is a pattern because they do this stuff, this kind of.
Listen, I've been saying this. Hitler's birthday is on 420, so every time you toke up, you're celebrating Hitler. It's true. If you smoke weed, you are celebrating the birth of Hitler. Think about that.
Stuff all the time.
With that out of the way, I suppose we should get to the Saberspark allegations themselves. Now, the way I want to break this down is I'm going to explain to you what the allegations were and how they were presented, and then I'm going to tell you what happened behind the scenes. And I can do that with receipts, because I have everyone's DMs.
Show
And
them
yes,
to me, Rachel.
That includes Brony Fandon't's DMs with KP, which make for fairly fascinating reading. So, the allegations against Saberspark were first released.
Also, just to kind of retread a previously addressed topic. So, Bonk is Brody Fandon. Bonk is allegedly the one that got KP in contact with the alleged Saberspark rape victim. Brody Fandon, aka Bonk, I'm just going to say Bonk, just so you know who I'm talking about. That's Bonk, okay? Apparently, Bonk suicide baits, like, all the time. Apparently, that's something that is actually par for the course. Previously, when we were covering this, I was planning on going over Bonk on stream, because apparently Bonk is into Fullcon, which is the My Little Pony equivalent of Lolicon, so it's children ponies. I don't pretend to understand the mind of a gooner, but apparently that's what that is. I was planning on going over that on stream, and then conveniently, when I was streaming, really inconsiderate, Bonk decided to go live on Twitch, walking on a bridge and crying, like he was going to kill himself in a video game, but in real life. And then after his Twitch got clapped, he started live streaming on Twitter, which I didn't even know that you could do, by the way. That was impressive. Bonk was detained and, taken to a hospital. Bonk was there, I want to say, for like a 72-hour hold. I don't fucking know. Bonk has posted updates on Twitter that we'll look at here in a minute when we get to this section of Beckett's video. But apparently Bonk does this a lot. Apparently the suicide bait and switch is something that Bonk is very fond of. And at the time, I wanted to be sensitive. Because, this is internet shit, right? We don't want people, killing themselves over internet shit, obviously. And I didn't want to, cover live shit. If I was covering this and then Bonk, fucking killed himself on stream, that'd be terrible. And that would be very inappropriate, and that would probably haunt me for the rest of my life. So I was like, I don't want to fucking cover this, while shit's, popping off in real time. We'll wait till the dust has settled a little bit. Now that the dust has settled, I can say confidently with my whole chest, fuck people that suicide bait to get out of accountability or attention. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a magic orb or anything like that you know of. I can't peer into the souls of other people. I don't know if Bonk was truly suicidal or if Bonk was just kind of reaping what he has been sowing behind the scenes for all these years. Doesn't really matter to me. Using that as an attention grab or a way to get out of accountability, in my opinion, gets you a one-way ticket to hell. So if that is what happened, and I'm inclined to believe that we might be trudging into that territory, fuck you, Bonk.
On Twitter through Brony Fandon't's account. And believe it or not, that fact's going to become quite relevant later on. These allegations would come from an anonymous source, claiming that in 2012 and 2013, though it is worth noting that there would be a later correction that this all occurred in 2012, this individual met up with Saberspark twice, and on both occasions, they engaged in non-consensual sexual activity with him. KP would then present these allegations in her video and follow it up with a conversation between herself and Courtney Pete regarding the nature of consent. As a quick note for those of you unaware of who Courtney Pete is, this is the sister of Lily Orchard.
This diabolical to include this clip, dude. Diabolical, bro. I don't. I just don't have anything to say.
Orchard, and most people will be aware of her through her ongoing campaign against Lily Orchard, who is alleged to have abused Courtney during her childhood. Regarding the allegations themselves, and we'll come to who the accuser actually is, I was immediately pretty skeptical of these when I saw them. I put out a Twitter thread outlining my issues with the allegations the day after they dropped, but I'd like to take a moment to be crystal clear at this point. I don't think anybody will ever be able to say with 100% certainty.
We've got Bonk, Lily Orchard, suicide baiting, full con. Who's got a bingo? Anybody? Anybody got a bingo? We're moving through these quick. Anybody got a bingo?
That these events did or did not occur. While Saberspark has denied the accusations, this occurred so long ago that the evidence to condemn or vindicate him just doesn't exist. Which is exactly why accusations like this should never be platformed by a creator. Putting anyone in the position where they have to deal with life-ruining allegations when you have no evidence to support them beyond a single victim testimony is an incredibly callous and fucked up thing to do to somebody. And as we dive into the deeper drama surrounding this story, particularly when looking at people like Brony Fandon't, that's a theme. Because when it comes to the Black Griffin allegations, vast amounts of the evidence supplied against him is incredibly shaky. And when challenged on this...
So, I don't know fucking anything about the Black Griffin allegations. I will... My... 5 cents on this. Not 2, I got about 5, okay. And I'm sure that Becca's going to go more into this. I don't know enough about it, but I completely agree with the idea that if you're going to go after somebody like this, to this degree, you have to have something to show me. Okay, just like pointing and going, witch, and expecting everybody to run from the town square is not enough, in my opinion. We need a little bit more. I want, like, a screenshot. I want, like, a log. I want, like, you know, anything. I want a victim, for fuck's sake. I want one of these things, okay? And that's something that I also, like, really fucking hate about internet pedophile hunters, and I don't know why this is such a sought-after niche. I don't know why Courtney is doing this. I don't know why Lio Convoy does this. I have no idea. Because you're not doing anything productive to help people that are the victims of online predation. And you look like a fucking fool doing it when you're literally nuking people from orbit over maybe hypothetically, potentially in another timeline, in everything everywhere all at once, maybe at some point. It's like, I need a beyond a shadow of a doubt, okay? If we're going to start dropping Google Docs on people like fucking bombs on Nagasaki, okay? I need a little bit more than hearsay, okay?
The defense is the quantity of allegations, regardless of their quality. And to be candid, it astonishes me that this has gone on for as long as it has. That being said, let's get to the behind the scenes.
Let's do it.
One thing I was made immediately aware of is apparently Lio Convoy was involved in this, which didn't come as much of a surprise given his history.
We have one day, just one day without Lio Convoy, just one. And I have one day forgetting that Lio Convoy is a human being, please.
With this particular community. Lio again has pre-existing relationships with KP and many of the other people involved in this particular fandom. Actually, a little bit of fun lore for you, but a lot of the people involved in the Senate server actually originate in the Brony community, with individuals such as Queen Serafina even voice acting in popular Brony cartoons like this one from Pymations. Though, to my surprise, Lio's involvement in this is incredibly minimal. He would, though, share what DMs he had, and it seems he was added to a couple of...
Everybody loves a little bit of speculation. My speculation, I have no evidence of this, okay, this is just my opinion, this is my speculation, this is me with schizophrenia, a corkboard, a red string, and a couple of pictures I printed off of Google, okay, this is my opinion. My opinion is that Beckett and Lio are tight, okay, they talk about, like, toys and shit. I don't know, okay, they talk about, like, toys and shit, they're pretty tight, okay. KP and Lio, also tight. I think that when KP biffed it really fucking hard, I think that Lio asked Beckett to cover this because he wanted to kind of rehabilitate KP's image, which, good luck, okay? I also believe, in my heart of hearts, my heart of hearts. I believe that Beckett originally was going to sweep for KP really hard in this until he realized how fucking bad she looks. That's why a lot of this is kind of like, you know, oh, well, she just wanted to do this, that, and the other thing. And I'm sure we'll get more into it a little bit down the road. But it's like, KP is not dumb. She is stupid. She is not dumb. They're different things, okay? She has been around on the internet long enough. Like, this wasn't just like an oopsie whoopsie, I made a poopsie. This is like, no, dude, she fucked up big time, and she knew exactly what she was doing. In fact, there are people who got to see parts of the video before it was released, and they literally fucking told her this was a dumpster fire shit fuck waste of time. Even Lio Convoy told her this was a big fucking mistake, and she chose to do it anyway. Why? Because she's a vindictive, malicious, spite-filled little rat, okay? And she knew exactly what she was doing, and she chose to do it anyway, okay? She's not stupid, okay? She's not dumb, she's just stupid, okay? There's a difference.
Of different group chats. The first involving the individuals leveling accusations towards DA Games, as well as the individual making allegations against Saberspark. In the interest of transparency, and because the DA Games group chat is less of interest right now, though is referenced in later conversations, I think it's useful to hear this first recording just in full so you can get a general scale of Lio's level of involvement.
So, is everybody here like previous employees of DA Games? Is that what I'm getting reading the chat here? Okay, so is everybody here an adult or we got any minors here? I haven't heard the interview myself, but I'm curious. When you say I'm serious, is that because humor is a coping mechanism for you? Because that's pretty common. I think maybe putting in a section, perhaps with a notation on studies, showing that sometimes people cope with things via humor, and that's how they figure out discussing it, would probably help to that, not just in the sense that would recontextualize your interview.
Maybe just, like, don't make jokes. Like, if you want to do the ultimate serious, like, mega hit piece from outer space, destroying everybody in your path, maybe just take a serious tone to it. I don't know what to say.
And obviously make it to where it doesn't need to be redone. But
It is Ugandan Knuckles, Lio Convoy. Do you know the way? How long has it been since you guys have heard that meme? Do you know the way? It's Ugandan Knuckles, fucking Lio Convoy. Isn't this beautiful? Good morning. Good morning. Wake up. New cursed Lio Convoy image. Honey, wake up.
also, it further points out that you're a victim of these things, and that's how you're internalizing it. And it puts more credibility to your claim than just redoing it and trying to do it in a sterile as possible fashion.
Of note here, Lio's advice is to allow original victim testimonies to stand as they are. This is very, very solid advice for reasons that will become clear in a little bit. As for his conversation with the Saberspark accuser, well, that requires a little bit of dissection. To begin with, when KP came to Lio to ask his opinion on this, Lio is incredibly clear that the correct course of action is to go to the police and file a report.
Then that needs to be handled by the cops, like period. Like 100% period. That needs a police report filed today.
Amazingly, he also—
Oh my god, one good Lio take? Am I dreaming? Am I asleep right now? Did I forget to stream this morning and I'm actually blissfully asleep? Snug as a bug in a rug. Tucked cozily into bed right now? A good Lio take? What? Okay.
points out the complete bloody obvious, that the accuser trying to remain anonymous to protect themselves from Saberspark finding out it's them makes no sense, because if this is true, Saberspark will immediately know who is making the accusation.
This is my take, Stolen Valor. Guards, this was literally my take. Oh my god, I'm being plagiarized. My James Somerton altar is fronting. Guys!
Here's a problem, though, with that inherently. If that did happen, and Saber did do that, he will by nature know who it is. So if it gets out in any way, shape, or form, and a police report hasn't been filed, she's going to be at risk. Like, that's just the truth of the matter in this. And it's unpleasant, it's ugly, but that's the truth.
He's right. He's right, and he should say it.
Lio would broadly be reiterated to the accuser when he got in a conversation with her. Because whatever else you want to say about Lio Convoy, and believe me, I understand, even he sees the inherent risks of running a story like this, noting that it may open KP up to a defamation suit. They'd continue to go back and forth on this topic for a while, with the accuser pushing back that filing a report may allow Saber to find out who she is. Though the accuser does accept by the end that releasing this story at all means that Saber will be able to identify her, which makes this entire interaction, again, very, very...
Adrián Perchman donatet $1 amb 99 centaus truc superchat. Vanis di Lili Simpson ha dit coming.
Oh, thank you very much for the $1.99, everybody witness. I had it edited, and then I decided I didn't want to upload it because, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I've been making really short segments lately, and I don't like that. Because I don't get as much money, and that's what I care about, okay? Maybe for you. Maybe for you. I'll think about it. I'll ponder my orb some more. Thank you for the $1.99.
Pretty bizarre. I'd also like to point out that this account, Sunspecs, was created specifically to have this conversation with Lio, as the accuser further obfuscates their actual identity. And when Lio refuses to budge that a police report is required, the accuser would essentially ghost him and refuse to communicate any further. So who is this mysterious accuser? Well, that would be a woman by the name of Emu Emmy. Now, how do I know that? Well, there were a few reasons. There was a large amount of circumstantial evidence that was compiled in a Google document a week or so ago. This spread like wildfire and led to her name being shared in multiple chats. We also have these vague posts from Casey, the partner of Saberspark's editor. But I have to admit I was slightly ahead of the curve here, because before any of this was public, Emmy had provided a Dropbox link to a video as evidence that she had attended the cons in question. But Emmy is not some random unknown individual. She is a public figure, her name is public, and if you click on more information on this Dropbox video, it has her name on it. It is also...
Foiled again. Hey, guess what? Great Blue October album, by the way. Yeah, bro. I think everybody here is just like dumb as fuck. I don't know what to say. I think everybody involved in this has like 4 collective brain cells that they all take turns sharing. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Also worth me noting that at this point, now that Saberspark's response is out, Emmy has been on the record with other content creators, talking at length about these accusations and herself. And yes, I was offered this recording. And the fact that such a large content creator, somebody who has literally been on Dr. Phil, would try to platform these accusations anonymously is an element that deserves discussion and analysis. Lio would also get me in contact with KP, which is why he is in the first call. And KP would provide confirmation that it was Emmy. I expect you're also wondering when this information became available to KP herself. And I'll be honest with you, that was also something I was quite curious to know.
So, whatever.
When did you know?
When did I know it was Emmy?
Yes.
At the beginning.
Right, okay. Okay. So, from sort of an outside perspective, one of the big difficulties, I guess, with this story is you have a reasonably sized creator for this space coming out anonymously with a very long history with this group. I mean, they certainly interacted with Saber and everyone else, around the DA group for a long period of time. I am surprised you didn't look into anything about them or question the fact that they were coming out with this anonymously.
Well, the anonymous part seemed clear. She was afraid that she was going to get harassed, and with my interaction...
She was going to get harassed anyway, because Saberspark knows exactly who it was, and the reason that she was anonymous is because she has a history of fucking her way to the top. That's an allegation that has followed her entire career, is that she will fuck to get a better job. And that doesn't mean that people that fuck to get better jobs cannot be assaulted. That is not true. They can still be assaulted and what have you. But she wanted to remain anonymous because of the baggage that was associated with her as a creator. Because she was a homewrecker. She did fuck her way to the top. And that does damage people's credibility. That's not the way it should be. I agree. Okay, I agree. You can still be assaulted and whatever if, you're a hooer. I totally understand and I totally agree with that. But it certainly damages the credibility of somebody who's coming forward with allegations if they have historically fucked their way to the top. Yes.
Actions with Saber, and like other people's interactions with Saber, he'll try to kind of use his platform to... I guess kind of shake people a little bit. That's what he tried to do with me, at least. Seemingly. I guess I didn't question that. So, I guess suffice to say I was fucking stupid, and, this is going to be another long week. I don't really know what to tell you besides that.
Before we move forward, we should probably talk about who exactly Emmy is, as that may shed a little light on why they may wish to remain anonymous. Emmy Jones is best known, at least from a drama perspective, for engaging in an affair with Ryan Drummond, one of the Sonic voice actors. And she is generally...
And guys, it is confirmed that he did the voice while they were fucking. He did the Sonic voice while they fucked. Oh my god. How does it feel to live Chris Chan's dream? Holy shit. Who's an actress or like an actor that plays a role where if you guys fucked, you would want them to do the voice? Like, would you want the guy that plays Denethor to say like a line from Lord of the Rings while you guys are fucking? Like, I'm just curious. Because I can't think of a single character where I'm like, oh, do the voice. I think that's weird. That's so weird. That's so weird. Babe, do the voice. Yuck. Okay. I can't think of anything worse. I can't think of anything worse in the whole world. That's so terrible, you guys. It's so bad. Waluigi, shut up. You guys are gonna fucking kill me. Right there, babe. Wah! Shut the fuck up. I fucking hate you guys. Where's my wah? Oh my fucking god, dude. Please. Wah! Rosie, stop! Oh my god.
$4 amb 99 centaus truc superchat. Deo di Rua.
You guys are gonna fucking kill me. Everybody witness, Rosie. Everybody witness. Babe, do the voice for me. Babe, I'm embarrassed. I can't do it. Babe, please. Do the roar. And she's like, oh, like, what the fuck? Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude, do you guys think that Christian does the Kamehamehas? He's like, I'm powering up. Kamehamehas! Do you think he does that? Oh my god. That's so funny. Wow, what a great day to start. Or what a great way to start the day. Excuse me. If you love me, you would do the goofy voice. Let's go.
Deeply disliked by the Sonic fandom, despite the fact that, like any good fan would, she did apparently get him to do the voice. But if this was her only controversy, I don't think it would be relevant. However, Emmy has a long history of being an unreliable narrator, or at least being seen as such. I said earlier that she's been on Dr. Phil, and while this was just a rumor for a while, Emmy would come out in the comment section of that video confirming it was her at 16 on an episode talking about how she wanted to become a teen mother. Now, it is not unusual for a content creator who's been around this long to have their fair share of dramas, but Emmys have a particular flavour, and they come in two parts. Firstly, Ryan Drummond is not Emmy's only sex scandal. Now, obviously, there's a Dr. Phil episode, but she's also been accused of using her, shall we say, assets, to force other voice actors out of roles that she wants.
If she wants to get onto a project, she has to brute force her way in. And normally she does this by sleeping with whoever she can get her hands on. This is
She has to brute force her way in with her pussy.
what ended up happening with Wrath of Nazo. Originally, the project started
That was really inappropriate of me, I'm sorry.
the Blue as Sonic, and his best friend Blue-Eyed Fox was voicing Tails. Emmy wanted in on this project because she had a thing for Spirit of the Blue, and she wasn't exactly happy that somebody else was voicing Tails, no less this person's best friend. So Emmy slept with Spirit of the Blue so she could replace Blue-Eyed Fox.
It is worth noting here that all of this does in some way come from biased sources, as we see the theme of much of this being based on testimony continue. But the second flavour of controversy Emmy is known for is sympathy baiting. While there is the standard I'm being harassed comment that you'll see from any run-of-the-mill creator, perhaps most damning here is accusations that Emmy on multiple occasions has scammed her audience through GoFundMe schemes, asking for money for a variety of ailments before
She walks so Keffels could run.
mysteriously appearing at conventions or on holiday. In the interest of balance, I would like to challenge at least part of this, because when it comes to the claim that she used this money to attend conventions, that doesn't seem to be true. As when it comes to this period, she appears to have had a good working relationship with Sega, who would have covered her attendance. This is not to say whether I think Emmy is guilty or innocent of any of these accusations, but she does have an undeniable pattern when it comes to drama, which is damaging in this case because regardless of the validity of these claims against Saberspark, they do fit within this motif. There are, of course, no perfect victims, and none of us should have those expectations, but in a case like this, where there is no evidence for the accusations being made, the credibility of the accuser is basically all I or anyone else has to go on. Now, when other people have looked into it, what they've found is a video called The Queen Falls by Lance Jerkov. And I'm gonna lay my cards on the table here. I have a bit of an issue with this video, and it feels a touch like a microcosm of this entire drama.
And that's alongside her reputation as a backstreet girl and a bad mother being so well known in this fandom that apparently people are just talking about it openly, with the final nail in the coffin being her association with Anime James and Toon critic Y2K, two men who, let's just say, had a similar interest in women to Jared Fogel.
Because much of what is presented is a fragment of evidence, and then an awful lot of speculation. And this is true even of the Drummond stuff. Yes, they had an affair, but we have no idea what that actually looked like. And it's used to paint Emmy as a home-wrecking bitch who actively tried to destroy Drummond's marriage. The fandom then does exactly what you'd expect. They treat Drummond as though he has no agency, and he's a victim of some insane ethos. Later on in the video, Lance would also present testimony from Steven Sayers, a now
Anyone who says that they're not mad at the home wrecker is a liar. Like, obviously, you're like, I trusted my partner. I trusted that my partner wouldn't step out on me, da-da-da. But it takes an exceptional harlot to go after a married person, right? Like, we do have a little bit of blame to put on the home wrecker, okay? Yes, the partner should not have cheated. Ryan should not have done the Sonic voice for someone other than his wife. I completely agree. However, it does take quite a nefarious trollop to pursue someone who is married, in my opinion, and agree to do that with someone who is married. So a little bit of both. It's a little bit of both. Okay, both people can make bad choices here. Okay, it's not so black and white.
Police officer, but former employee of Sierra Games. But Emmy denies even knowing this.
What the fuck? Sad artwork. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. There are only 65 likes on the stream right now, you guys. There's 193 people watching right now. That's fucking insane. I need you guys to crank those numbers up right now, okay? That's just unacceptable. Everybody needs to do their part. Otherwise, I'm going to do the Sonic voice. I don't even know what the Sonic voice is. I can't do it. But the threat remains.
Person. And if it is true, the implications are incredibly fucked up. Because the dates that Sayers originally gives would mean that Emmy was a minor at the time. When Sayers is confronted on this fact, he quickly shifts position, saying it must have occurred in 2013, but that makes little sense with the overall timeline of Emmy's career. Irregardless,
who is this Calvin Garrar? Who is he?
Thank you very much for the membership. Oh no, Angel. Everybody witness? Thank you kindly.
I don't know why we're taking the testimony of a guy who, while trying to shit on this chick, managed to make himself look like a nonce. Now, none of this should be treated as though I'm trying to mount some kind of defense of Emmy. I've got my own opinions on the allegations, but she won't talk to me. I have tried reaching out to have a conversation. She's simply not interested. Rather, what I'm trying to show you is that this community regularly...
And it's actually insane because Emmy is the only one that is making good choices here, because it would be a phenomenal mistake for her to speak right now. That would be a phenomenal mistake. Surprisingly, she's the smartest one here, because everybody that's doing interviews left, right, and center to try and, like, justify why they decided to, like, try to trash somebody's reputation on hearsay from the time of Obama's first presidency is fucking insane. Okay, she is surprisingly the smartest one in the room right now.
Works of half-truths and rumors. And that's pretty problematic when we're talking about very serious allegations. Even this video from Lance, great example. Because I was asking the question as to why somebody would drop a video like this when they've got a fairly consistent upload schedule and then seemingly vanish from their channel and not upload for a year. And when I went looking for that answer, multiple people would tell me that Lance had allegations against him. No one provided any evidence for this, but if anything, that's exactly what I'd expect. This has obviously become so normalized for this community. And so now, as we move into how these allegations were handled, it begins to make a lot more sense why nobody questioned these allegations against Saberspark before platforming them. Somewhat depressingly, and ironically, one of the few examples I can find of anyone doing any due diligence is actually from KP back in March, when they were talking to Brony Fandone about another victim who'd been handed off to them, and had turned tail and run the minute they were asked difficult questions. And KP even states, yeah, figured I would check, because God forbid we are wrong. A sentiment which would have been useful to keep in mind when the next day rolled around and she was presented with Emmy's victim story. Emmy would be funneled towards KP.
Is this just not an example that she knows better, though? I still don't understand this framing that she, was doing the trust but verify for everything except for this Emmy person. Like, is it not blatantly obvious that the reality of the situation is that she has a big bone to pick with Saberspark, and that's why she didn't question anything that was presented to her? Are we really just gonna pretend that that's not the case and she trusted Bonk, but it's demonstrated that she didn't trust Bonk in the past? It's because she's vindictive. It's because she wanted her pound of flesh against somebody who she has a grudge against. That's what it was. I don't understand. I don't understand why that doesn't click.
Through Bonk and Amy. For those wondering who Amy is, the most information I could get is that they are somebody's wife. That's literally it. But apparently they'd known about this since 2015, allegedly. KP would then work with Emmy to get the statement prepared for release. Now, as a clarifier here, there was some editing of this statement, but as I can see it being sent by Brony Fandone, I can confirm that the bulk of Emmy's statement was not guided or influenced by KP. Nevertheless, I was interested to know how much input she had had. And when I set Jenny to work on a little bit of digging, she found the Google Doc that KP had originally put out. Now, because nobody knows how to protect Google documents, apparently, Jenny was able to retrieve the edit history, which includes...
Okay. Here's your dates. Clarify that you started talking to him when you were 18, and if he knew your age. How well do you think you knew him? How much did you talk leading up to the convention year, when I met up with him in person? Bring up the fact that he did not ask for consent here.
Notes from KP
not good.
Intended to guide Emmy in improving the statement. This level of involvement is not apparent in KP's video.
Not
she
good.
Does not make it clear that she has been working closely with the victim before the release of this statement. This allows her in the video to look like an impartial observer, just reporting on these allegations, which is not the case. But once again, I think it is best that you just hear this all from KP. So there was a Google Doc that was posted that you did.
Yes, let's ask Judas about his crimes. Please allow Judas to defend why Christ deserved to be crucified. Yes, great idea.
And put up with her basically her full statement, the one that was also posted on Twitter in screenshots.
Oh, okay.
So
I guess I forgot I did that, but yes.
How much?
I forgot that I helped write the allegations. I totally forgot. It was like when she was talking to Slug Entertainment, and she was like, "It really surprised me. The video that you spent 6 months making surprised you. The video that you scripted caught you off guard. Huh? Okay.
Influence did you have on that statement?
I already discussed this with Enter and Lazy. I just gave critique. I gave screenshots. Here, I'll get the screenshots of me giving critique to it. Well, I get them. That's my answer. And Courtney gave feedback as well.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Hey guys, do you mind proofreading my rape allegation? Just make sure that it sounds good enough, please. Like, what? Dude, come on. Come on. What the fuck is happening right now?
Okay, when you say critique, what are we talking about here?
Adrián Perchman donatet $1 amb 99 centaus truc superchat. What's big the KPB in picture on CNS?
Thank you for the $1.99, everybody witness. I'm pretty sure Beckett commissioned this. I think it's KP beating Chris. No, beating Saberspark with a hammer. True. I mean, it's an accurate depiction of events. This is like a Renaissance painting. This is what's going to be in museums in like 100 years. You know, when you go to the art museums and you see the Renaissance paintings, you know, the creation of Adam, all of those. This is the shit that's going to be in history museums that your grandkids are going to look at. They're going to be like, "Daddy, what is that?" And you're going to say, that's the tragedy of I Love Kim Possible a lot and the Saberspark allegations circa 2025.
Flow of things that's like basic English stuff, like nothing really. She wrote most of it herself, and
she should have written all of it herself.
Was like, let me put this into paragraphs and give feedback on like the grammar and the general flow of it. That was really it.
Oh, that wasn't the grammar and the general flow being like, include how old you were. Make sure to specify here that he didn't ask for consent. Make sure you use implied consent in this here, there, you know, left, right, set. Like, that's not just critiquing grammar. It's not like, hey, you used the wrong there here. It's like, actually, can you make this sound more rapey, please? Can you imply more heavily that you were raped? Thanks.
Okay, I'm just having a quick read of this. So, generally speaking, you were in conversations with Emmy, and you were working on the flow of this statement to present something to the public. I mean, I suppose my core question is, why didn't you provide an interview call with Emmy if you kind of had access to that?
Ah, good question.
She was afraid. I mean, I even asked her if she wanted to verbally read her own testimony in the video, but she was afraid that people could recognize her, because she's a voice actor, her voice. And then I said, well, what if we pitch it down? She says, no, I think people would still be able to recognize it just based on how I speak. And I was like, okay. So
there has to be a way around that. No, there has to be a way around that. There has to be. If like ABC can interview people that are like actively being hunted down by the cartel and make it so the cartel can't find them, I think that Kim Possible could have handled, you know, making her anonymous enough where she could actually read the statement or like something. Hello? Like, come on. What?
Okay. You understand that kind of where the way this looks from your video is you have a victim statement that looks far more distant from you than is the reality. And then you have a long conversation with Courtney where you are essentially providing context on how you are seeing this, almost at a distance, which is, I would say, fairly misleading to an audience.
Yes. Very misleading.
Yeah, the idea with that is I'm just not familiar with essay in general. I believe.
What did she say? Yeah,
the idea with that is I'm I'm just not familiar with SA in general.
So you ask the ultimate survivor to do that for what? What's happening? What?
I believe that you are familiar with
Average Stardust stream. I'm sorry, Stardust. I love you. Sorry.
His history. She was someone I trusted, so I just felt
Listen, may he who is without sin cast the first stone. I also say a lot. Okay, I'm sorry. That was terrible. Sorry. I'm like, my bad, guys. I'm sorry. That was rude.
You are familiar with Courtney's history. She was someone I trusted, so I just felt like it would be helpful in a call to
Courtney, if groupies show you their titties, that means they want to fuck Pete. What? Oh, that segment was like pulling teeth, you guys. There's no such thing as implied consent. Ever! There's no such thing. Never! But also, if somebody flashes you their titties, they certainly want to fuck. Amazing takes all around.
To talk about it from someone's an SI's survivor's perspective. So that was kind of the intention.
Okay. So, I mean, there is another element to this. In that Google document, you are providing editing notes at points where you're saying that here's where you should mention this was non-consensual in both those instances.
Yeah, that was I just wanted to make a note to make that clear because that's what she said to me. So,
I mean, I'll be honest, what it looks like is that you had somebody come to you with a victim story and then you tailored their victim impact statement, which is quite bad. But I've seen little bits of kind of conversations through Lio where, you know, there's a question with one of the other members of the DA group where it's like, well, should we re-record the interview? And Lio says, well, no, let the interview stand as is. You can provide context afterwards, but the interview should stand as your interview. When you've got something like this, the way it looks to me is you've got, okay, well, this is the statement from the victim. I know that I'm going to use this in a video. How do I make this, like, what are the points that I need to hit with an audience? Which is,
the wrong way to do that. Yeah. How can I make this rape allegation digestible to my viewers? What?
I mean, so was the general critique. I just let them talk and I didn't, like, ask them. Like, I'm not really following.
So the general critique is this. You let them talk, and then you took their statement and tailored it to be more impactful for content that you were planning to release.
I am vindicated once again. I said that there were two options here, you guys. Everybody get in your time machine. Beam yourselves up, Scotties. Go back in time. Do you remember what I said? I said there's two possibilities here. The first is that Saberspark did rape, and now nothing is going to happen. The second alternative is that Saberspark did not rape, and KP mindfucked this girl behind the scenes into changing her statement to make it more rapey. And it sounds like that's exactly what fucking happened. Oh my god, another huge Malcolm W. Everybody clap for me.
And at the same time, I've got statements from Brony Fandon't that you also provided statements to the other DA victims, which was sort of a line to take.
I don't remember. Can you put that screenshot
I don't recall.
in there? I don't really remember that.
Yeah, give me
I don't recall, Your Honor.
It would be this one.
About a week and a half ago, KP messaged me the final testimony, already pre-written statements for us to use when posting the account. We were not asked, only given, and the statement claimed both I and Sophie talked to the victim extensively, which was not true. I watched about, I want to say maybe like 10 minutes of this. I really tried to listen to it, but I became exhausted very quickly, and I was like, I need my emotional support, Mamacitas, to watch this, so.
Oh, I mean, I just wrote that to be helpful, so he didn't have to do it. And my intention was essentially like, hey, I wrote a thing, change it however you feel fit. So that was, and I guess he thought that I was trying to.
Could you guys imagine if there was like somebody was like, oh, this person committed sexual assault, and then you're like, okay, can I? We're going to court. Let's see the testimony. We're gonna take this to court. Let me see it, please. And they're like, so this is the testimony that the cops edited. This is the testimony that the cops altered. This person gave their account of sexual assault to the cops, and then the cops helped to rewrite it. What? Could you imagine? Just like if somebody is the victim of an assault, let them speak their truth, Queen. Like, what? Why the fuck are you editing to make it digestible to a quote unquote audience? Oh my god, it just keeps getting worse.
Put words into his mouth. And I just like, so things that I assumed were like he had talked to the victim extensively. He didn't, and I didn't know that. So
Why not ask?
You know, I guess I was the only one that talked to her extensively, besides Amy. Yeah, he's one of my people, or one of the people I need to kind of talk to. But I'm also afraid he's gonna screenshot me out of context again, and you know that's.
Oh, you're scared that you're gonna get screenshotted out of context. Oh, I wonder. I wonder where that fear comes from. Maybe because that shit that you do all the fucking time. Ah! Stones in glass. The call is coming from inside of the fucking house, bitch. That is called retributive justice. That is you being able to dish it out but not fucking take it. How do you think Chris feels about out of context screenshots and shit? Fuck you. Oh my god. Beckett is a more patient man than I. I would have crashed the fuck out. Oh my god.
That's scary as well. So.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, it's partly. I mean, what I run up against is when I see stuff like this. And you said, you know, putting words in people's mouths. The problem is what I've got to go on is kind of like what I can pick through and see, which timeline-wise is there are multiple documents being written, including the large DA document, which had way more victim impact statements, many of which have been pulled entirely. I believe one of them is Jamesy.
Yeah, Jamie also got a cease and desist, so that scared him.
Right.
Pull out entirely.
So what I've got in front of me is multiple documents in which there have been many chefs involved in these particular kitchens.
Too many cooks in the kitchen, as they say.
It feels very guided, which is concerning when we're talking about hit pieces, because then, you know, how much is influenced not just by the people who may have gone through these things, but by people who are looking to then utilize them. Because Bernie Fando has been going after Black Griffin in this group for years now.
Adrián Perchman donatet $4 amb 99 centaus truc superchat. I wonder what is going the game bit after this I caiem a POSSIBL EAL o video.
They're probably live, laugh, loving, dude. They're probably live, laugh, loving. This is like the ideal outcome for them. And again, if this is something that Saberspark did do, if there was something, you know, fucking weird that Chris did or whatever the fuck, this is the perfect cover. You know what I'm saying?
Just to be clear, I had nothing to do with the DA Games document. Those were written way before I got involved, just to clarify.
Okay. Can you just explain some of these edits in this document then? Like, what does the highlighted in purple mean?
A lot of time pondering our orb.
I don't remember.
I don't recall.
So yeah, it's a placement of things of like bring up the fact that he did not ask for consent here.
Yeah, well, I just gave screenshots that gave more context to that. So I guess it was Courtney's note, because Courtney also gave...
Oh my god! Now we're dragging Courtney to live under the bus with us, okay? Listen, Courtney is no angel, okay? Courtney is also a crash out queen in her own right, okay? Courtney has her own baggage, etc., 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 you know? Blah, 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 blah. Dude, anybody who gets even remotely close to KP gets sucked into this vortex of, no, you, it was her, my lord, it was actually her, she did it, guards! Dude, this is the worst kind of person to be around. This is like the ultimate narc behavior. Whatever happened to snitches get stitches, you guys? Whatever happened to that? Did we just stop giving stitches to snitches? What is going on? What is going on, bro? This is get your ass beat. What is happening right now?
And,
Okay. I mean...
Not to blame her, no, she...
Sure. I mean, again, I get this is a collaborative process, and Courtney's not here to sort of give her side of what happened, so I don't want to start just blaming people who aren't around. I suppose at a core level, and this is why people are focusing on the Saberspark stuff, what you have is testimony of something that happened over a decade ago, from one person who chose to remain anonymous, who has a long internet history, which is mixed. Again, like, I'm sure that there are two sides to the Emmy story. In fact, a few people are quite interested in the other side of that Emmy story. You know,
I'm gonna attempt to get it, because she seems to... I mean, obviously don't release these screenshots publicly, at least not now without asking, but she seems to trust me. Oh,
now we need permission before we release things publicly. Oh, ironic.
Now, so, for lack of a better word, I'm pretty fucking pissed, and I feel like a dupe that was put on for a ride, but
you put yourself on the ride.
With everything,
you literally strapped yourself into the fucking roller coaster with your Disney Fast Pass, your Lightning Pass. You got in line for the roller coaster, strapped yourself in, and you're like, oh, I've just been taken on this wild ride. Bitch, you put yourself on the ride!
Bonk came to me with there with this story because he was having mental health problems at the time and he didn't have the energy to deal with it. So my understanding, feel free to ask him, this was going to come out regardless of me. So I was just there already making a video about it.
I was just there to get the clout. It was going to come out regardless, but it was given to me, and I thought, why the fuck not? I thought, why not try to get my channel off of life support and bring it back? I thought, why not?
About it. So it just seemed like... yeah.
Sure, but this stuff had been building for a while on some of the DA stuff. I can see that from the documents. But this stuff with Emmy seems to have come right out of the blue, right where you needed it, and you seem to not have questioned, shall we say, the good fortune of that.
No, because her eyes lit up when it was like Saberspark allegations. She didn't even have to read them. She was like, yes, that's going in my video, bitch. Yes, finally, got him. Gotcha, bitch. That was her modus operandi, if you will.
Happening. You seem to have just gone, oh, great, cool. Well, now I've got something to go at Saber with.
Well, let me clarify. I would imagine you can ask Amy about this. I don't... How long she... Maybe she said...
This is my only criticism of Beckett. That's not true. I have many criticisms of Beckett. But my biggest one is, again, step on the fucking gas. Step on the gas. I know that he wants to preserve his relationship with her so he can ask her questions later or whatever the fuck. And part of being, like, the person that's interviewing people or whatever is to kind of, get the 411, the scoop. So you have to, like, play your cards right so they don't, like, block you and shit. You can't be too aggressive, otherwise they're not going to answer your questions, da-da-da, whatever. Okay? Literally, get her. Get her! Stop being nice. Stop being nice. She's a worm. She's a weasel. She's a liar. She's a snake. She is the Marquis of Snakes, the Defiler, the Deceiver. Cast her out from this holy fucking vessel of Christ, okay? Get her. That's my criticism, okay? That's probably why I don't do videos like this, because I would not be able to be chill. That's probably, upon further reflection, this is a really good time for some introspection, you guys. Maybe the reason that I never get the 411 behind the scenes is because I would crash the fuck out and scream at people. But then again, if KP was like, I want to do an interview about the Saberspark video with you, Malcolm, I would be like, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. And if you do, it's going to be on live stream, bruh. We're not going to do this in DMs. We're in private we're going to be on live stream. I'm going to be making money, and you're going to leave the call crying. Okay, I think it's very apparent. It's been revealed to me now in a dream why I never get the hot goss behind the scenes. I see it now.
2023, I think. But she has known about this for a couple of years. Amy is Peter New's wife, who don't tell her I sent you because she doesn't like me right now. But she was the one I originally talked to get in contact with.
Is that the other Pegasus sister or whatever the hell?
No, okay. I don't think Amy has a presence in the fandom.
Okay, because I'm just, even for me, I'm just trying to make sense of who half these people are. Now, it might be slightly hypocritical for me, of all people, to criticize someone else for becoming too involved in a story, but there are lines to this, and getting a victim to edit their impact statement is certainly a line. While KP argues this is to clarify and fill in gaps, these edits read far more as trying to remove any semblance of doubt and emphasize things like the power imbalance. Making sure a victim's impact statement fits more easily with the arguments you're going to make in your video is certainly highly unethical. Within the DM logs between KP and Emmy, KP provides feedback from Courtney Pete. One particular line...
Sorry for the delay. One of the subways caught on fire. Oh, sorry for the delay. One of the subways caught on fire. Yeah. Okay. This has been cursed right from the beginning. God was trying to intervene. God was like, dude, he was like, blow that shit up. We gotta stop her. That subway, blow it up. Like, she's still... There were signs all around us, you guys. Pass this along to Courtney. Here's the where I left things. Hope this is cathartic for you. It was fun to write, LOL. Hey, girly pop. Super fun to write your rape allegation story. Thanks for letting me tee xd rar. What?
Line of interest is, and it sort of kills me that she might be giving...
And it sort of kills me that she might be giving any sort of grace to him at the expense of herself because he considered it implied. Consent is never implied, not with married couples, dating couples, friends with benefits, or hookups. That's just not true. That is just not true. Consent can absolutely be implied, especially if you have rapport with somebody. That is certainly true. This is just a lie. And you're creating people who believe that they've been raped because they had a kind of consensual dynamic with somebody where, you know, they didn't is it okay if I touch your back? Is it okay if I touch your leg? Is it okay if I touch your arm? Is it okay if I give you a peck on the lips? Is it okay if I hold your hand? Is it okay if I touch your butt? Is it okay if I touch you on your belt? Is it okay if I hold your hand? It's like, is it okay if I play with your hair? It's like you are creating victims. You are pumping out victims of the fucking rape factory at this point. It's like, yes, consent can absolutely be implied. If, you know, you're making out with somebody and you move your hand from like their upper back to their lower back and they don't stop you, that can be considered implied consent. Okay. Okay. They're into this. All right, cool. Like there is like a very slow, gradual escalation of sexuality between two people that are hooking up. That is normal. That is completely fucking normal. It's not like in the middle of making out, you're like, pause, safety check-in. Is it okay if I move my hand to your lower back? That's good. That's good. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are we feeling about that? An 8? Maybe I'll wait a little bit longer. I want a 10 before I do that, okay? Like, there is, like, a very... Like, it's hard to describe, and social skills are very difficult to teach, very difficult to learn, especially for people, for minority version girlies in chat. They're very difficult to learn, because you can't just tell somebody, it's this line right here. It's like, it's very ambiguous, it's very gray, it's very amorphous, it's like it's going to look different with every single person. But to say that consent can never be implied is wrong. That is just not true, especially in long-term dynamics where you know your partner very well. You can have implied consent, absolutely, right? Like, if you have been with somebody for a while, you know if they're in the mood or not. You know if they like what you're doing or not. You don't have to stop and be like, okay, go ahead, rank me on a scale of 1 to 10. A 7? Okay, how are we going to switch it up? Oh, hands off, pause really quick, no touching, hang on, check-in time. You can still have that dynamic. That is completely reasonable. And the other thing, too, is that I said right at the beginning of this, I said I was like 60-40. Like 60%, it probably wasn't like anything crazy, and shit just kind of got blown out of proportion. Maybe it was like a weird sexual encounter that you didn't feel great about, but it wasn't like, you know, a serious or like even, you know, maybe just like regretful hookup, right? Say like 60% that, and then like, you know, 40% he was raping. I'm leaning more towards like this was just like an uncomfortable hookup, like where it was like, I don't really know if I was feeling it, but you know, it was fine. Like, I don't know, it was okay, I guess, but I don't know. If given the opportunity, I probably wouldn't do it again. Just having a regretful encounter like that, or like, you know, if given the opportunity, maybe I wouldn't have fucked this person. Maybe I would have just stayed friends with them or something like that. That doesn't imply assault, excuse me. I'm leaning more towards this was, you know, just kind of like a weird, awkward hookup that maybe wasn't the best, and it was twisted and contorted behind the scenes, because like, if somebody just says, hey, I went to a brony convention, first of all, I'd be like, block me on every social media you have, never talk to me again. But if your friend is like, dude, I went to this brony convention, and there was this guy there that I watch on YouTube, and I really like his shit, it was really cool. And we hung out for a little bit, and we ended up hooking up or whatever. It was kind of weird, like, he gave me like a high five afterwards, it was kind of awkward or whatever the fuck. It was kind of weird, but... I don't know, that was my weekend. How was your weekend? And then you immediately go, oh my god, Chrissy, you were raped! It's like, you are the one that's manipulating that situation and creating a victim where there isn't one, right? And obviously, I don't have a crystal ball, I can't peer into other souls, I don't know, you know, all the intricate details behind the scenes and shit. But this reads to me like somebody was like, oh, I hooked up with this guy, it was kind of a shitty hookup, I don't know, it was kind of a shitty lay, I don't know. Probably wouldn't have done it again, you know, I probably wouldn't do it again if given the opportunity. And they were like, oh my god, you've been raped. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me. Chrissy, wake up, you're a rape victim. It's like, what are we doing right now, guys? What are we doing right now, you guys? What are we doing right now? What's going on? What the fuck is going on? What the fuck, Kyle? Step the fuck up, Kyle.
Any sort of grace to him at the expense of herself, because he considered it implied. And this isn't just a throwaway line, it's intermingled amongst a tirade on how consent works, emphasizing why that line in particular is an issue. It would work, too. Emmy does change her statement because of this feedback.
Hey, sorry, I removed the part about giving him grace by saying I understand he may have thought consent was implied. Courtney is definitely right. I just know his retort is going to believe that consent was there. Courtney is right, though. It was never implied, even if I did like him at the time. God, can we get a Malcolm is right counter? Can we get a tally started, guys? Can we get a fucking tally going? Oh my god. It's like I have ESPN or something. This is insane. And actually, Saberspark literally was just like, no, we never fucked.
Isaki Kentai donatet $5 through Superchat. Kort el succeït peu plas for consent when they feel like the answers yes and don't ask when they feel like it's a no. When it's the opposite.
I don't know what to say. It's just, there is like this performative bullshit online that a lot of people prop up, but they don't actually like do or practice in real life. Like anybody that unironically fucking tells you, like as somebody who has been married, how long have I been married? 4 years? Something like that? I don't know. I've been with my wife for a long time, but we've only been married for like 4 or 5. Don't tell anybody. I can't remember what that is. That's our secret. That stays between us. After, being with my wife for a significant amount of time, I'm literally not stopping and checking in like every 10 minutes. Is it okay if I hold your hand? Do you give your consent for me to hold your hand? Is it okay if I spoon you while we enjoy watching Yellow Jackets together? Is that okay? Would you be open to or receptive to a kiss on the lips? Would that be acceptable for you? Would it be all right perhaps if I sat next to you on the couch? I would get fucking slapped in the face. She'd be like, what are you doing? Yes, it's fine. Like when you are in these relationships with people, you build that rapport and you build that dynamic. Anybody that says otherwise is a fucking liar, okay? You are not in a relationship for a significant amount of time. You don't have good rapport with a friends with benefits, with a hookup, with a partner, with, a wife, a husband, whatever the fuck gender neutral option you want to use. There is no universe where you are literally doing this, where you are stopping every single 5 fucking seconds to be like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are we feeling? It doesn't happen. It doesn't fucking happen, okay? I don't know what to say. That's a lie. That is a lie. It's all performative bullshit on the internet. Well, actually, as the connoisseur of consent, I make sure I ask my wife every single time that I kiss her on the lips. I also ask for consent before I wash her underwear because those are private. When I'm doing laundry, I say, is it all right? Do I have your consent to put your underwear in the washing machine? Because I would hate to make you uncomfortable and cross your boundaries. That's a fucking lie. That's a lie. Nobody does that. Liars!
Hey, sorry, I removed the part giving him grace by saying I understand he may have thought consent was implied. Courtney is definitely right. I just know his retort is going to be him believing consent was there. Courtney is right though, it was never implied, even if I did like him at the time. This is direct evidence that KP and Courtney worked to tailor the victim.
So she did have a crush on him.
Even if I did like him at the time.
Okay.
This is direct evidence that KP and Courtney worked to tailor the victim's statement to make it more damaging. And the reason this is an issue is because it's not how Emmy necessarily sees the situation. It is KP and Courtney trying to influence.
Magic m'han donatet un lliure amb 99 penics trucs superchat. Dis voler feir vas dir magnum opus of morons.
Oh, thank you very much, Magic Man. Everybody witness. This is my Roman Empire. Courtney is right. Word said it right before the disaster. Also, Clancy, I hope that you're having fun at work.
Influence Emmy to perceive the situation through their lens. If you care about what victims have to say, and this story is full of people who don't care what victims have to say,
True.
You should respect those original statements. But as if to perfectly encapsulate my point of how fucking careless everyone here is, I went to check the release statement, and that section about implied consent is still present. I thought I was losing my mind for a second because I've read these DMs, so I went back to check, and I'm right. I'm showing you the original statement supplied by Emmy to KP, and I've highlighted the word implied. But if we scroll all the way down to her updated statement, and I cannot fucking believe this, it's gone. Emmy did make this edit, but KP is paying so little attention, she didn't even include it in the final document for release. No wonder those involved in this didn't care about the fact that Emmy has no evidence for the allegations she's making. They don't even care about her actual testimony. And don't worry, because this situation somehow becomes...
You guys, we need to listen to all victims, but only if their assaults get me clout on the internet. Write that down.
more absurd. Because you'll remember, Lio advised KP that this was a matter...
You guys, I should get this as a tattoo. I should get this as a tattoo. I should get fucking Ugandan Knuckles Lio Convoy tattooed on my ass. I should do that. That would be so funny. Oh, God. I'd get thrown out of the fucking tattoo parlor with this shit. I'm like, are you guys taking walk-ins? They're like, yeah. What are you looking to get? And I'm like, it's actually Ugandan Knuckles Lio Convoy. And they're like, get out. We don't tattoo hate symbols in this establishment. I would do it. I would do it. Anything for a good meme, dude. Anything for a good meme.
Authorities, and they would require at the very least a police statement to be filed if they were planning to run this story. One of the things that got sort of mentioned was Lio's involvement, and I was interested in how far that involvement kind of went. I mean, maybe you can speak to that. It doesn't seem like Lio is, from what I have seen, that involved. He doesn't seem to have seen the video before it came out. I think Lio said to me when asked about this particular statement and this victim, his advice was, don't run this.
You know when Lio Convoy is the voice of a reason, you're cooked, right? Like, everybody sees this. Everybody sees this. If Lio Convoy is like, I don't know if I would do that, you know that you need to pump the brakes. Yeah, you know. You're like, oh, fuck, I made a critical error, didn't I?
Seems to have been his involvement. And go to the police about stuff. Is that unfair?
I don't remember the don't run this, but yeah, we did have an extensive conversation where we recommended that she go to the police and get a police report first. And she didn't want to...
Also, I'm not trying to be a dumb bitch here. Barbie is here. Barbie, guide me. This happened in 2012? Is that not well past the statute of limitations? Is it not? Is that not significantly? That's what? 13 years? 13 years. 13 years. And we're just now talking about going to the police. 13 years. Just a thought. And why would you only encourage somebody to go to the police to validate your YouTube hit piece? Why would it not be like, I'm concerned for you and your well-being, and I would like you to get justice for this wrong that was committed against you, instead of like, yeah, you should get a police report so I can include this in my YouTube hit piece. Oh, Barbie's in here. Hang on 1 second. Hello, can you hear me?
It's so many years ago. There's so much wrong here. It was, 2012, 2013. I don't know why they didn't act on it then or do anything then. Again, God, this is where a lot of lines get crossed. It is totally fine to not talk about something until much later. And there is nothing wrong with being in a support group and thinking, all right, I want to try and write out like a linear narrative of what happened to me. But the only thing I or anyone else does who facilitates those groups, whenever they send it to us, is say, do you feel like, how does it feel to have written this? Do you feel like you wrote a complete narrative of what happened? Would you want to read this to group? Other than that,
I have her all the way up, guys.
like they're not writing about an attack that happened. That is the only feedback that you would ever give, which is, I think you're actually writing about going and picking up food with your grandma. I don't think this is actually about your attack. Maybe you could reread and make sure you sent me the right document. That's the only thing you should be saying about something 15 years ago.
You're a little bit quiet. I have you boosted at fucking 200%, and everybody's bitching that you're quiet, but I have you boosted. But,
now, is this better?
I don't know. I just work here.
Let me see.
I don't know shit about
Better
this.
now, Girly Bob? Better now, Girly Bob?
Just, like, put the phone in your fucking mouth. I don't know.
It's in my mouth right now. It's right next to my face.
I don't know what's going on. I think I fucked up my volume booster. Anyway, yeah, I could understand, like, wanting to do, like, oh, this happened to me, I would like some public accountability, whatever the fuck. I always think that's almost always like kind of a bad way to go about it, but
if you're going to be public, you have to have your name attached to it.
Sure, I completely agree.
You no longer get the benefit of being anonymous. And that is what we frequently tell people as well. If you are, again, the anonymous thing can happen if you are a victim in the media. But to be clear, that is just a consideration the media gives sexual assault victims. If they publish a name, it's bad taste, but they don't get in trouble for it. Betty, I know. Can you believe they did this too? I know. The audacity. But still, it's so weird to go through and try and edit out someone else's statement. And it's very bizarre to try and do this all now. And it is like building up a house of very, very weak complaints in order to justify the firing. The firing would be inappropriate. The restorative justice angle of, hey, you got to talk to the guy and he seems genuinely remorseful and regrets it and says it's cringe. He kind of indicates that he's moved on and he's in the family way now, which would, I don't know, maybe hopefully indicate some growing up. And that's not good enough. Like there's lots of different weird standards here. And it's very clear, like there's only one thing that you wanted. And it was like him being fired or something, but this was not it for either of them. I don't know who told her she should come out. She could come out and continue to be anonymous, but that's not, if you ever come out and you want to be public, your name must be attached to it. It has to be.
Well, yeah, it just kind of muddies the water, and it's just really frustrating because it's like in my opinion, it's like if they actually gave a fuck about, like, say that this Emily girl was raped, it's like if you do give a fuck about this, you should care about her wanting to, you know, like get her closure or justice or whatever words you want to use. It shouldn't be like, oh fuck, you should report it to the police so I can use it to like boost the validity of my fucking hit piece. That's ridiculous.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah, because you're not an impartial observer then doing what's best for the person. You clearly got an agenda at that point in time. That's what makes all of this like very like twisted. And in terms of like the changing of the story or the narrative and everything else, when a while ago, like months and months and months and months ago in 2024, when Courtney wanted to both write a like a script and an actual legal terms complaint that she wanted to send in about her sister. I said, if you send me all the information, I will format it and show you exactly how it should be formatted in a legal complaint and how it's written. But all that does is it takes all of the information and just organizes it chronologically. I'm not editing any victim's words. I will use their exact verbiage if need be. I will refer to their testimony if need be. But I don't change it to make it better for me. That's again not it, sis.
Yeah, it's all generally just really stupid. But yeah, given the statute of limitations, it's like I think the only reason that they wanted a police report is so it would look good in the YouTube video. It doesn't seem like they really give a fuck otherwise, so.
Well, and they would have to say the date of whenever they filed it. Like, so if it was filed, let's say, if it was filed 18 months or 2 years after the fact, so 2014 or 15 maybe, I could have space for that and think that that's more legitimate. I mean, it's always best to try and file your report at any point in time. However, I filed it 1/1/2025, and this video came out 1/2/2025 just to show that you did is nonsense.
No, that would probably make it look worse as well if it was like, oh, look, there's a police report, but it was filed after I already started talking to her and told her that she needed to do it. That would probably look worse, yeah.
Exactly. Like telling them need to do it. Also, don't ever leave voice messages to anybody saying you can do this or you can be a coward. Please, God, don't do it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm jumping down. You're doing a great job. Love you.
Love you, Queen. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that it would actually make it significantly worse if she did go to the police on the advice of Kim Possible or whatever. And again, you know, the two outcomes is either she was raped or she wasn't. Those are the two outcomes. Regardless of what outcome you think is more realistic, I can't tell you guys what to think. Everybody has their own opinions about shit like this. Everybody kind of sees, you know, different things. Maybe you see it differently than I do. Regardless of what you think actually happened, the only thing that's true in all of this is that the handling of this fucked up any possibility for there to be justice if there was a misdeed done. That's the only thing that matters, right? And on the more extreme side of that token, you have literally slandered somebody and destroyed their reputation with false allegations of a crime that never occurred. Okay, there's like a lot of moving components, and it's like if this is something that is dear to your heart and this is something that you want to do, you have to do it the right way. Otherwise, you fuck over everybody involved for no point, just for your own attention. And you know, there are some people that truthfully, with their whole heart, believe that all attention is good attention, and we all here know that that's not true. KP, congratulations, you got the attention that you wanted. You wanted everybody to be talking about you. You wanted people to watch your videos. You wanted people to comment on your work. You wanted people to subscribe. You wanted people to be flapping their fucking gums about you. Congratulations. You said, wow, I wish that my YouTube channel was more popular and the monkey paw curled. And here we are.
And I'm right. I'm showing you the original statement supplied by Emmy to KP, and I've highlighted the word implied. But if we scroll all the way down to her updated statement, and I cannot fucking believe this, it's gone. Emmy did make this edit, but KP is paying so little attention, she didn't even include it in the final document for release. No wonder those involved in this didn't care about the fact that Emmy has no evidence for the allegations she's making. They don't even care about her actual testimony. And don't worry, because this situation somehow becomes more absurd. Because you'll remember, Lio advised KP that this was a matter for the authorities, and they would require at the very least a police statement to be filed if they were planning to run this story. One of the things that got sort of mentioned was Lio's involvement, and I was interested in how far that involvement...
Great question, Vex. Let's see. It's going to be really loud as everybody ready.
Slay. Oh my god. Slay.
Yep, still works. Good.
Kind of went. I mean, maybe you can speak to that. It doesn't seem like Lio is...
Who is this Calvin Garrar? Who is he?
It's true. It was Barbie. Barbie is the reason that the stream is fucked up. Everybody say thank you, Barbie.
Witness me! Witness me!
Thanks for the membership.
From what I have seen, that involved, he doesn't seem to have seen the video before it came out. I think Lio said to me when asked about this particular statement and this victim, his advice was, don't run this. That seems to have been his involvement. And go to the police about stuff. Is that unfair?
I don't remember the don't run this, but yeah, we did have an extensive conversation where we recommended that she go to the police and get a police report first. And
The don't run this was when I told you shouldn't put this in a video.
Okay.
Because the police report was filed. That's what it's referring to.
Okay, well,
Again, if Lio Convoy is like, dude, you're fucking up, you fucked up.
that's why we released it on Twitter first to kind of have it.
Well, I don't know if that helps, because that, if anything, makes it worse, KP, because it looks like you've gone, oh, we don't have a police report, but if this is gaining traction on Twitter, then I can put it in a video you are already making with a victim you are already speaking to.
True.
I don't really have a response to that.
Okay.
It's like so what I'm running up against here is there are going to be multiple sort of views on this video, from everything from stupidity to malice. I don't know where I sit with that at the moment, I'll be honest.
Malice.
Because, you know, I know you by your own admission do not like this group of people. You have a history with them.
Mm-hmm.
You were handed stuff that was you couldn't substantiate from years ago, and you know, you use that to make essentially rape by coercion argument against somebody without even speaking to Saber about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty fucking wild, frankly.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Do we? Do we get it?
No, I was just stupid, and I wanted to. She came to me. She Bonk already knew I was making this video. It just seemed like another victim testimony to add, like the video games one.
Unsurprisingly, we're dealing with a community that just repeats.
That's just another rape to include in my YouTube hit piece. What's one more rape? Let's just throw it in there.
Things they've heard over and over again until they somehow become true, even when it is, once again, life-ruining accusations. KP and others, and we're about to get to those people, worked on the assumption that once this was out on Twitter, coverage of it was fair game. But to be clear, in the DMs, KP is scheduling this with Brony Fandon't, and the statement itself even goes out early and has to be removed. Despite how fucked up all of this is, the level of incompetence is unironically just fucking hilarious. Predictably, once the video had been released and backlash was in, these little rats started fleeing the sinking ship. Fandon't's DMs here are pretty interesting, but we'll get to his section in a little bit. However, one thing I want to point out is this tweet from May 5th.
You desire a tattletale rat? Ask and you shall receive.
Fucking little tattletale rat!
Where Fandon't says, I talked with her in call about the problems. She told me she was surprised by the reactions because her team and the victim viewed it prior and liked it. I did not realize at the time that she was lying. Well, I can prove that in this case at least KP wasn't, because Emmy did see the video and had a positive reaction to it. Before we move forward though, I do think it is valuable that you hear something that isn't just my opinion or KP's own statements. And one person who's known this group of people—
We're only an hour into this video, Kelby.
For a significant period of time is Henry, Saberspark's editor. Let's talk about KP and your experiences with her.
Sure.
How did you first get to meet KP?
Through the convention scene. So going to different conventions, basically she would either be a panelist or a guest. She would show up to these cons, and even back in the early days, it was kind of, everyone was trying to be friends together and establish relationships, but you would find that there were some people that just, you weren't necessarily vibing with, or that they weren't on the same wavelength. So KP was one of those individuals early on to me that I just got a sense of entitlement and a sense of, her demeanor.
Adrián Perchman donatet $1 amb 99 centaus truc superchat. Dinux bro en comentari community BCSE.
Thank you very much, Adrian, for the $1.99. Everybody witness. I personally vote for the BBC, the bitch brony community, the BBC. That's my vote. Today we will be reviewing the BBC, the bitch brony community. Thank you.
Was very off-putting, so a lot of people kind of created this mindset, like, don't necessarily include KP if she's trying to wedge her way into panels and or scenes on these convention floors and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I have firsthand experience of times where I've had to kind of create that wall for her to just say, like, don't try to come into our space because you have the sense that, like, nepotism, or not nepotism, what is it, narcissism? Yeah, like narcissism.
It's not narcissism, it's because she feels entitled to the space because she's a woman. This, you guys, is a perfect example of female privilege, okay? The rare, the elusive, the illustrious, the very rarely seen out in the wild. You can only see it in very rare glimpses in captivity. This is female privilege, because what this is this is a fandom of 40-year-old virgins who literally sweat through their fucking shirts taking a shit every single morning, okay? Their sideburns are so meticulously unkempt that they scare small children just at the mere sight of them, okay? These are people who hiss when water is introduced to them. When somebody's like, have you taken a shower? They go like a vampire, okay? A woman entering that space, an adult biological female. But KP in this instance has female privilege because she is a woman, probably one of the only women that these sweaty Discord fat fucks have ever seen in the flesh. Yeah, she kind of gets to, you know, swing her weight around a little bit. And anybody who is a woman who exists in predominantly male spaces knows this to be true. Women are acutely aware of this, okay? If you are a woman and you're in, I don't know, if you're really into like, I don't know, Call of Duty Warzone, I suppose, and you're really fucking good at it, and you're like mildly attractive looking, you are acutely aware that every single guy is tripping over his fucking feet trying to talk to you. You know that, okay? This is, again, a very rare, elusive example of female privilege. Being literally the only adult biological human female that is interested in My Little Pony gives you quite the ego. And in some cases, that's warranted. I think that Kim Possible is really, she really embellishes in that prestige, if you will. But yeah, that's what this is exactly. She's like, I'm a hot girl. I should be allowed to be on all these fucking panels and shit. You guys should be letting me talk in these panels and shit. I'm going to get you more views. I'm going to get you more attention. I'm going to get you, you know, more questions from the audience, whatever the fuck, because I'm a moderately attractive white woman who somehow likes this weird show. That's what that is, okay? That, my friends, is an example of female privilege. Write that down.
Is strong with her.
So,
yeah,
can you give me some examples of some experiences you guys have just had with KP over the years? Because I know, you know, Saber mentioned their relationship in the response, and I think it would be helpful for people to get that picture.
Yeah. So, well, a first-hand experience would be so at Equestria LA 2017, we had a bad fanfic reading panel. KP showed up. She was sitting in the front row, kind of heckling us the whole time, saying, hey, let me go up on stage, you know, just trying to kind of wedge her way into this thing where we had to, you know, get prior approval to get this panel approved. We had the people who are panelists on that panel. She has done this many times where it's kind of, you know, she thinks she knows best or that she should be included and tries to wedge her way in. Other experiences that, you know, I wasn't necessarily firsthand for. She was at Cider Fest and a artist named Jen Blake had a booth in the vendor hall. KP, you know, trying to talk to Jen, positions herself kind of behind the vendor table, and as Jen is taking on commissions and, you know, interacting with guests who are there for her, KP wedges herself in and says, you know, oh,
Calvin Garrar. Who is he?
Be willing to, you know, take some commissions, you know, if you guys want from me, and kind of almost like trying to funnel business away from the actual comic artist that works on IDW's, you know, MOP comics. And I could tell that Jen was very uncomfortable about the whole situation and kind of made it clear that, you know, KP was not welcome to be there anymore, because like, yeah, she just didn't have like this concept of what she was doing was wrong, and she has many instances of that. I mean, I can even point to another one where it's more of a private thing, so it's not necessarily something where I'm going to say I had firsthand experience, but I heard the story. So she moved to California, and who was it? Rachel Bloom was having a like show within LA, and she's a well-known individual, kind of, you know, has a awards and history, you know, and I can see the appeal of wanting to go to, say, like a Rachel Bloom show. She's a fan. The problem is that KP kept telling people that she had an in or like some sort of connection to, you know, talk to Rachel Bloom, and she really wanted to go to the show to kind of hand over her portfolio and see if they could work together on stuff. Well, she lied about that. She never actually had like a connection with Rachel Bloom. She just knew that the show was going to happen, and she was going to kind of more or less spring it on her at the end and just like wait outside the stage door to give her things. But when people, you know, asked her, hey, how do you have a connection with this? Like, how did you, you know, broker this deal? You know, she's lying the whole time, saying, oh, well, you know, I have a way to, you know, get to her and talk to her about this stuff, and I just want to see if she wants to work on this project, you know, a video project.
Oh, so she lied.
And yeah, it's example after example. Casey and I, well, mainly Casey, tried really hard when she first moved to LA to be a mentor for her. I had already had my prior experience with her, so I had written her off kind of as, I'll believe it when I see it, like her attitude change and her demeanor change. But when she moved to LA, she was very much in the mindset of, hey, I want to kind of like, you know, start over. I want to, you know, be better. So Casey offered to be her mentor and pointed out many times where it was like, hey, you can't kind of act this way towards people. You need to also be mindful that, you know, if people don't want to be friends with you, you don't have that right to say, you know, you need to be friends with me. The narcissism part, you know, rearing its head. I would just say that KP had many examples of another individual who she had beef with was AC Race Best. He,
I don't know.
Basically said, I don't want to be friends with you long time ago. I think Casey, suggested that KP reach out and try to get to the bottom of why they never could be friends. He gave her a detailed response as to why, his reasons, and she lashed out. She basically started cursing him out, sending him a long message. I'm sure there is a chat.
Why don't you want to be friends with me? Because I don't fucking like you. Anything else? What the fuck, you guys? What the actual
chat log out there that could actually be presented for that? But it goes to show that she definitely has had both a beef with Steven and other individuals who haven't kind of, in her mind, lifted her up with them. They became successful, and she saw it as, why not me? Her content in the community as a whole was kind of lackluster, or it got views, but as soon as, she kind of wanted to shift away from that, she couldn't pivot in a way where her content was thriving. So I think she very much internalized a lot of this, like, why is it that Steven was able to do that with Saberspark? Why is it that other individuals are able to make their livelihood, work for them? So yeah, those are just some of the examples.
Firstly, you wanted to add a correction for Henry for the race best story.
Oh yeah, I never advised Rachel to contact
Who the fuck is this?
Jeffrey at all. I talked to her after she had lashed out, and I was not happy with her, and I told her as much. This is all very just disappointing and sad for me personally. So I'm sorry if I sigh quite a bit. I pointed out that they have very little in common other than liking one TV show in the whole world. And what is her deal with wanting to be friends with this one guy? And she didn't have a very good answer for me. She struggled with that. She literally stammered. I don't actually remember what she said. It wasn't very substantial. But no, I did not tell her to reach
Oh, this is Casey Fish, my queen. Yes, drag her more.
out to Jeff. He told me that she lashed out, and you could probably tell the story of how frustrated I was with her because I went to bat for Rachel. And I had told people that moving to LA had caused her to grow and mature as a person. It is difficult. The entertainment industry is difficult, let's be real. And she was trying, and I thought maybe it would have given her some life perspective that she had lacked before. And then she went and made me out to be a liar, and I was super not happy with her about that.
Like, I mean, is it fair to say that this is the end of any industry contact she had left? That essentially it's destroyed any remaining friendship she had?
Hopefully.
That's, as far as my sphere, that's pretty accurate. I know that people that I know that if I say something, I mean it. And I did tell everyone. I posted the link to my Twitter and I said, this is my stance. I just want all of you to know. And I already knew that a lot of our mutuals had put her on the information diet. So, like, did this do it? I don't think so. She'd already dug the grave. This is just the last pile of dirt. As far as industry contacts,
hell yeah.
What did she have?
Before we move forward,
hell
I'll
yeah.
a disclaimer here, because we're going to talk about the other people who were involved in this. And I don't want this to come across as some sort of exoneration of KP and Courtney. It's just that there are other people involved with blood on their hands. Since the video came out, a lot of people have been trying to use them as scapegoats, understandably. But realistically speaking, many of these people should not be feeling particularly smug right now. There are obviously levels of blame to go around, but one particular group, and where we're going to start, is people who have also run allegations fed to them by Brony Fandom. Because, realistically, they've done exactly the same thing as KP did, they've just been lucky about it. And this little group can be perfectly encapsulated through one particular YouTuber, Lazy Bedhead. The reason we're starting here, of all places, is because on levels of culpability, just believing a document that's handed to you is something that, generally speaking, a lot of YouTubers do, trusting that the vetting has already been done for them. In fact, this is KP's defense for why she fucked this up. She believed that Brony Fandom and Amy had already vetted Emily. Now,
well, sure, but she also questioned Bonk in the past. But again, I think that her incentives are misaligned, and if there's blood in the water, she's gonna shark attack whether or not there's validity to those. So, you know.
It's incredibly dumb? Of course it is. But my annoyance comes from the fact that it's shockingly common in this story.
Pinky and would ask Pinky if she liked a picture of his penis. Destiny would straight up delete the Twitter.
You know this bitch makes a mean iced latte. This is, if I go to a coffee shop and the barista looks like this, you're getting the best coffee of your life. Hey, them energy. Them energy. Hey, them energy. Goddamn. I know she just makes a mean frap.
Account associated with this interaction and wouldn't rediscover Black Griffin until years later when he voiced Alistair in the Has-Been Hotel pilot. Destiny also addressed the creators of Billy Bust Up, which we can discuss later. Now, since this was when Destiny was 13 years old, hindsight is 2020, so none of the chats or this dick pic was ever documented or screenshots taken. So for now, these are just allegations from memory. Although I do think this testimony coming forward does sort of confirm the sneaking suspicion that people have had about Gabe for years up until this point. Sourced from Courtney Pete's own video, she interviews two individuals who have been a part of of the Brony community and convention spaces for years. Even they have testified that con staff and community members had speculated of Gabriel's grooming relationship with Claire for decades.
Now this requires us to talk a little bit about the Black Griffin allegations. I don't want to go too deep here because it is a hell of a rabbit hole, so we're going to focus on the Destiny allegations in particular. To give you a TLDR, Destiny claims that in 2012, she interacted with Gabe, and during those interactions, while she was a minor, Gabe would flirt with her and also offered her a dick pic. Much like the allegations against Saberspark, there is no evidence for this. And even in the document, it is noted that it can't have been in 2012, because Twitter didn't even add the function to send pictures in DMs until December of 2013.
Okay.
And yet Lazy Bedhead uses the fact the allegations even exist in the first place to try and label Black Griffin a predator. And I'd like you to keep in mind here that Fando themselves admits that they don't have proof behind the Destiny allegations. In fact, they were using those allegations in an attempt to gay up and blackmail Black Griffin. When that didn't work, they released them anyway.
Bro.
And yes, I can already hear the scratching in my comment section, but Beckett, Black Griffin is a well-documented groomer. I'm not saying that Black Griffin isn't a groomer. I don't know. Certainly some of his interactions are pretty fucking weird, particularly the DeviantArt posts. But when we look through allegations like this, you need to have some kind of smoking gun. I showed you screenshots earlier of Grizzly the Medic.
This is very true, okay? Because these are big fish. These are big fish, okay? If you want to catch a big fish, you have to do it in one fell swoop, okay? If you want to take down a big dude, you have to get a clean headshot. Otherwise, you're fucked, okay? You have to have something. You have to have something that is the kill shot, okay? If you don't have a kill shot, it's going to backfire and blow up in your fucking face, okay? And we've seen this mistake made time and time again. The biggest mistake that I can think of off the top of my head is Mr. Girl and Destiny, okay? Mr. Girl alleged that Destiny was this, you know, giga behind the scenes, predator, pervert, extraordinaire, whatever the fuck. No kill shot, okay? So it flopped. And then many moons later, he was vindicated. But because he did not have the kill shot at the time, it didn't land at all. You have to have something. You have to give the people something. You can't just gesture vaguely and say, yeah, well, one time they said something weird. It's like, you got to have something, especially if you're going for big fish, okay? Especially if you're going for big fish.
In that instance, you have Grizzly, a security guard at BronyCon who tried to get a 12-year-old to come up to their hotel room, in DMs, acknowledging someone's age and continuing to have explicit conversations with them in their DMs. While Gabe is weird, very, very weird, this has apparently been going on for a decade and no one has a smoking gun. And to be clear, this isn't just internet stuff. Projects that Black Griffin and his wife have worked on are targeted. There is a massive public campaign to have this guy removed from any project that associates with him, all of which is based on the schizophrenic ramblings of Fandon't. Now originally, this section was much longer and way more pissed off. I actually included Anthony Grimoglia giving a defense of Lazy Bedhead just to provide some kind of balance, but I have since spoken to her at length both about the Saberspark allegations and the wider story involving Black Griffin. And as much of this section was directed pointedly towards her, that feels a little bit redundant at this point. However, just because I've spoken to Lazy doesn't mean I don't have massive criticisms for this video, so I just want to run over them in a slightly calmer, more chilled out tone. One of my major issues, in fact probably my main issue with this story, is the fact that nobody really vetted or checked anybody before running things. For example, Courtney Pete and by extension Lazy Bedhead used Sophie Scruggs as an expert on this community, but Scruggs is not a passive observer. We'll get to her section later, but all you need to know for the moment is that Brony Fandom is not just one person. Sophie Scruggs has access to that account and has regularly posted from it. The reason this is all missed is because the information Lazy Bedhead has on Brony Fandom largely comes from the Gabe defense documents. While Lazy Bedhead, to her credit, does condemn this information because Fandom is a complete freak, she does post this updated pinned comment, stating that Fandom has largely moved on from these opinions they held when they were a minor. Lazy would explain to me that she posted and pinned this comment due to the fact she was getting pushback from Fandom defenders, and she largely just wanted them to shut the fuck up. But to be clear, Fandom has continued to defend his consumption of pornography depicting underage furry characters. In March of this year, Fandom would post an incredibly long schizo thread about their history with the community, at the end of which he includes these comments. If no one is hurt, then it isn't an issue. I can't hurt Noelle, and it doesn't represent me, or how I am with minors. If anything, it stems from my own situation when I was a minor. Psychology is complicated. I know what's in my brain. I know.
Oh my god. Please, please, somebody kill me, please. If you're fucking gooning to depictions of underage objects, people, ponies, fish, Pokemon, Digimon, it doesn't, okay, there's something fucked up going on in your head, okay? Gooning to images, depictions of underage things is fucking weird. I would go as far to say that those people are probably pedophiles. Okay, I would go that far. Some people don't go that far. That's fine. Everybody draws that line in different places. But the problem that I fucking hate with this shit, and I fucking hate this shit, is like when people are like, oh, it's actually totally normal and fine that I goon to this kind of shit because of my own troubled, sexual past or whatever the fuck. No, actually, no, okay? Just because you have a history of, like CSA or whatever the fuck does not suddenly, like, give you the fucking pass to be a pedophile, okay? That's disgusting and wrong and incorrect and immoral, okay? Pick whatever words you would like to use to describe this behavior. But, like, people use this defense all the time, where it's like, oh, well, as a victim, this is how I cope with it. Okay, if somebody is the victim of, like, a violent assault, and so they goon exclusively to, like, violent assault material, I would say that's unhealthy. Go to therapy. If you're somebody who is, like, domestically abused by your parent, and so you seek out abusive relationships to relive that trauma in a quote-unquote healing way, I would say, go to therapy. That's fucking weird and wrong, and you're just hurting yourself, okay? You're indulging in this paraphilia. You shouldn't be doing that. It's bad for you, and it's wrong, okay? The consumption of it is wrong. Oh, well, because I was abused, it's fine. Your Honor, I'm an abuser because I was abused. Okay.
Magic m'han donatet un lliure amb 99 penics trucs superchat. Im gonna need a drink and a shoe after this.
You and me fucking both, Magic Man. Thank you very much for the dinero. The dollar dues, everybody witness.
No, I have no attraction to children or animals. Noelle is neither to me in my head. An issue here is simply that Lazy doesn't use Twitter, and therefore never caught this. This lack of vetting isn't just me bitching about standards, it has quite serious implications for these wider stories. Fandom, whether you like it or not, is at the center of these allegations. His documents are the main sources of them, and when it comes to Saberspark, he has been pushing to find something on Saberspark, once again, for years. If the allegations against Black Griffin are true, Fandone's involvement is a major disservice to any victims involved. Because now, all that's really required to deflect these allegations is to point to the crazy motherfucker who's been the driving force behind them. Some people might say that this position is dismissive, but you have to keep in mind, in a story like this, where there is no evidence for anything, your currency is credibility.
True.
The vast bulk of the evidence, quote-unquote, against these people is bollocks. It simply doesn't hold up to any reasonable level of scrutiny. All of this is made worse by the fact that you're not asking me or anybody else to trust the victims. You're asking us to trust people like Courtney Pete, KP, Brody Fando, and Sophie Scruggs.
True.
All of whom exist on a spectrum somewhere between incredibly fucking stupid and deeply malicious. In the conclusion of her video, Lazy Bedhead says that she doesn't actually like making videos like this, part of the reason being that creators are waiting for the next big expose for views and clicks and likes. And despite everything, I do kind of believe her. I don't view Lazy as actually malicious, and part of the reason for that is Anthony, because as he points out the nuances, I realized what really annoyed me about this video is the fact that she takes the Destiny allegations and the allegations from another unnamed 13-year-old, claiming that Gabe also offered to send her a dick pic, again with no evidence for this, and treats them as gospel. She says that this is evidence that Gabe is a groomer, this shows us who he is. I don't think she'd be dumb enough to do that unless she genuinely believed that to be the case. So for all my criticisms of this video, again, I don't think she's just maliciously going after these people. However, the question of malice is a very interesting one. And while many people, I think fairly, believe that KP's primary motivation comes from her petty grudges that she's been clinging onto for over a decade.
It certainly
This
does.
feels like a nice segue onto the other group of people, who seem to have realized that KP is so blinded by her own insane biases that she presented the perfect vector to litigate their own petty grievances. Let's talk about this elusive Amy New.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole point of all of this, though, is that she chose on many different occasions to dishonestly clip people, dishonestly frame things, dishonestly include things in a video. She chose to do this on multiple occasions. It's not like, this was a one-time ordeal, right? Where somebody said, oh, I have, or like a one-time experience of her being dishonest. There is a long history and a long track record of her being dishonest, snaky, weaselly, vindictive, holding a grudge, all this other shit. If it was a one-off, I would probably agree. Like, if you could show me one time where it's like, oh, well, she just trusted this person because they were friends and, she made a mistake here, that'd be one thing. But there is a pattern here. Like, it becomes malicious, it becomes intentional, and it becomes vindictive and, like, a conscious choice to do the wrong thing when you do it repeatedly. Because it's normal to, like, fuck up and make a mistake. Everybody fucks up from time to time. Everybody believes somebody that they shouldn't have. They trust somebody when they were telling a lie. Whatever the fuck. But when you consistently go out of your way to dishonestly clip people, record them without their consent, make a big fucking shit fest out of shit that doesn't need to be made into a big fucking shit fest, I think that demonstrates pretty clearly that we are acting maliciously. I think that is very apparent and very clear. So, I mean, that's just my opinion.
When I first introduced her to you, I said she was just somebody's wife, and while that sounds flippant, it's actually a very good description, because Amy's claim to fame is being married to Peter, the voice of Big Macintosh. For those of you who have no idea who or what that is, I deeply envy you, but he's basically a main secondary character from MLP. So if you're wondering why Amy scuttled away so quickly, it's probably because being involved in leveling unsubstantiated rape allegations against somebody might not be the best look publicly. But Amy has known and been involved with this group of people for over a decade. And while I'm not quite clear on the mechanics of how this worked, she was certainly one of the people handing over Emily to KP for this expose. Now, I didn't reach out to Amy personally, but Angry Slug did, and I was quite interested in...
I just want to use this, this comparison here, okay? If I pretend that I love to drug people, okay, in a hypothetical world, okay? I love drugging people, okay? It's my favorite thing in the whole world. Somebody's like, will you get me a drink? And I say, yes, and then I put... What am I putting in there, guys? I don't know. I'm putting magic mushrooms in it, and then I'm showing pictures of Lio Convoy to people. That's my hobby, okay? I love doing it. Even if somebody is in a situation where they're like, they give me a drink knowing that I do this, I'm in the wrong for doing this, right? I'm a bad person for doing this to other people, certainly. If somebody knows that I'm doing this and they give me a drink to give to somebody that they don't like, they're just as culpable as I am. They are just as culpable as I am, okay? If you know that I'm sprinkling magic mushrooms in everybody's drink and then showing them pictures of Lio Convoy to destroy their fucking psyche and cause ego death because I think it's funny or it's fun, and you know that I'm doing that, and you give me a drink, and you're like, oh, I'm getting this drink for Keldoge. Here, do you want to hold it for a second? Wink, wink. And I do it, you are just as guilty as I am. You are complicit. Complicitness is action, okay? If you know that she's going to be a little weasel fuck and you give it to her, it doesn't matter. She would have been a weasel fuck with the opportunity provided to her. Like, she is just as culpable as the person that is spiking the drink. She is the person that is assisting in the hypothetical drugging of drinks, okay?
What to say, so I asked Slug for a copy of those DMs. Now, there's nothing in here that's particularly interesting, but it does confirm her involvement, and the fact that she is very much trying to push the blame onto KP. And from the DMs with Fandom, it seems very clear that they were also very much in contact. You'll also see later that Amy and Sophie Scruggs seem to have a pretty good relationship, so the idea that she was just a passive bystander concerned for her friend is absurd. As a final late addition, right before publication, I was made aware of one other bit of correspondence with Amy, because Mr. Enter would also reach out to Amy, and she'd give the statement that she found out about this on the 25th of March, which would mean, timeline-wise, Amy was told about this, immediately gave the information to Fandom, who immediately passed it on to KP. Now, this is all a little bit weird for a couple of reasons. Firstly, Amy would come out in support of the statement from Emmy on Twitter, saying that they've been friends for over a decade, and that she was at Canterlot Gardens, confirming that she had seen Emmy and Saberspark together. The statement of, I have nothing to gain from this, I just want my friend to be believed, is also complete insanity considering Amy's wider involvement in this. Once again, to say nothing of the validity of Emily's accusations, Amy presents herself like she's not involved and knew nothing about this before publication. Or, alternatively, this could also be read as though it was a rumor that had been going around for years that was finally being outed. And I'm sure some version of the truth exists within all this obfuscation, but these people are just so fucking manipulative. One thing about this story, which I find pretty amusing, though overall quite frustrating, is that the side that's so concerned about transparency have all refused to speak to anyone the minute things got difficult for them. Now, this presents a bit of a problem. I don't know people like Amy. All I've got to go on is fragments of information. But to be clear, just because they won't speak to me doesn't mean nobody did. And thanks to the excellent work of Opblock, after his response video,
we know
I
him.
was put in touch with Saberspark. Now, that conversation I had with Saberspark is unfortunately off the record. He doesn't feel comfortable at the moment coming out and making...
Well, yeah, good choice. Again, the people that are supposed to come out of this looking the worst are the people that are actually coming out looking the best. Saberspark, alleged rapist, is the one that is making all of the right choices here.
Bookmoon donatet $1 amb 99 centaus truc superchat. I will pay whatever you need to not deal that.
Thank you for the 199 Buckman, everybody witness. You can trust me with your drink, I swear. Chugga Conroy, is that the one? No. Which one's Chugga Conroy? George Not Found was the tickler, right? He was the tickle guy. Which one was... There's so many fucking allegations, guys. Which one was Chugga Conroy? What was that one? Somebody refresh my memory. Jog my memory. I remember George Not Found. I remember that one. That was Ticklegate. I remember that one. Which one was Chugga Conroy? Oh, he was the foot guy. God forbid a guy has hobbies, you guys. God forbid. God forbid that he has hobbies. Like, okay, whatever. Jesus Christ. And then, like, Emily is the other person here that everybody's trying to slam into the fucking dirt. But again, she's looking cleaner than the people that helped put all this together, right? Like, Emily gave her statement to KP. KP, you know, like, twisted it into whatever the fuck it is now. And then KP was like, you need to come out and confirm it was you. You have 24 hours. And she hasn't said fucking anything. Good for her. Good for her. The accused looking like the most well-behaved in all of this is actually, I think, incredibly telling. Is it not?
Making random public statements. And I'll be honest, I do respect that decision. However, I still need to know about these people, and from the other side, I accept the criticism of it would be nice to hear from people. So please, allow me to solve that problem for you, because I sat down to have a conversation with the voice actress of Sweetie Belle from My Little Pony, the wife of Black Griffin, Claire. Let's go in levels. Can we start with Amy New?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell me about Amy New and why why the wife of the voice actor for Big Macintosh is somehow involved in attacking your sort of, I guess, circle?
All right. I will tell you all the things that I know about her. I know. I'm like, I don't know. I'm hesitant to say things, but at the same time, I feel like I've been so polite and nice for so long that I think I don't feel like being polite and nice anymore. So there's my grain of salt before I say what I'm gonna say.
Cook.
I don't know where the switch was with Amy. I don't know if my own father has talked to either of them, but I do know that my dad has reached out to people that I've worked with and warned them about me when I had told my parents that, you know, I was in a relationship with Gabe. And this is when I was almost 20. I don't know when the swap or switch was for Amy. I had met her a few times before. I knew she was married to Peter New. I think I can't remember a whole lot about her, but I don't know. I don't know. She's like kind of mixed up in the fan world, and she came first as a fan. To my knowledge, she was a fan first, and then she just kind of started dating.
A fan first and a hater second. The two genders.
Peter, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And she was kind of like a fan of My Little Pony and a fan of Peter, and then started dating. And I was like, oh, okay. And, you know, I didn't really think much of it at the time. I didn't really care. As an adult looking back on that situation, I also know that I'm pretty sure that Amy has, like, publicly stated before at some point that she was just, like, really concerned for me because she had kind of alluded to, I was a grooming victim and I didn't know, and I was smart and I was, you know, in love and I knew what that was like, and I just feel really bad for her. And I'm like, why do people freaking keep saying this about me? Like I'm some idiot that, and this is the thing too, like, even if I get frustrated about it, people are like, oh, I understand that you're so angry. Like, you're a very, like, you know, it doesn't mean that you're stupid. You can be a smart person and get in a situation like that. I'm like, yeah, and I freaking know what that's like because that was my family situation. And I hate it when people say that to me as if I don't know what that's like. And one day I'll figure it out. One day I'll figure out that I've been groomed. And I'm sitting here like, nobody knows that I've basically already been through this. You know, people talk about grooming in this non-sexual way, which is so funny because I'm like, why the frick would I be groomed non-sexually into a marriage? What's the marriage for? Shaking hands? Like, what the hell?
Good point. I think this is kind of one of the big reasons why I didn't really touch any of the Black Griffin stuff. I remember Courtney did the video about it or whatever, and I kind of, my eyes glazed over listening to it, truthfully. But it's like, if the person that is currently married to this guy is like, I'm in a relationship, we're fine, you know, we knew each other like when I was a minor and he was an adult, but like nothing really happened until I was of age, and now we're in this relationship and we're fine and we're happy, and I feel fine about it, and there's nothing weird going on, we're just in a relationship and we happen to know each other when we were younger. It's like, what do you even say to that? What do you even say to that? I mean, I guess, like, if you want to be the person that sits on the outside and is like, this person that doesn't even say that there's anything weird going on is, like, mind-fucked or lying or tricked into this. I mean, that is certainly possible, right? Like, I can imagine a situation where somebody is in a relationship and I am looking in from the outside. Obviously, that's all that we can do, right? And I'm like, no, I think that you actually got, like, mind-fucked into this relationship. I don't think that, like, this is a good fit for you or whatever the fuck. Like, the example that's coming to mind is Leadhead. That would be the example that I'm looking to in my mind right now, is Leadhead with, you know, the underage adopted Discord kids sex harem shit or whatever the fuck. That is where I'm kind of like, okay, I know that this person is saying, like, this is fine, whatever the fuck, but, like, I don't know. I would say that there's something else going on there, and that's my opinion. Obviously, all I can do is kind of peer in from the window. I'm not involved in their relationship. But in this situation, the way that it's told, and the way that I understand it, is that this person knew this guy.
S'ha donatet $5 truc superchat. Apparently what you say is silença. Buman. You vera gruomet causa weban you to abavean. Now shut up and stop ruining this for us.
Thank you very much, Saya, for the $5. Everybody witness. I don't really know, like, at what point it's like, if she's not complaining, and by everybody's admission that's involved is like, maybe they knew each other, you know, when she was a minor, but that nothing happened until she was an adult. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends. And truthfully, I haven't really looked that much into the Saberspark stuff, or not Saberspark, excuse me, into the Black Griffin stuff. Again, because I listened to Courtney's video and my eyes fucking glazed over and I was like, Jesus Christ, I don't want to watch this. It seems to me that based on what has been provided, this guy might be a fucking freak. This guy might be kind of a fucking weirdo. He might be kind of creepy, but I don't think that being creepy necessitates that somebody is like a predator or like a rapist or a groomer or whatever the fuck. It sounds like this girl is, you know, trying to fuck off and do her own thing. And mind you, this is from years and years and years ago, right? Like, this is old shit, you guys. It's not like it's happening right now. It's not like we're watching 9/11 in real time and somebody has to do something. It's like this happened for fucking ever ago. And we're relitigating this when pretty much every single person that has been involved in this has moved on with their fucking life. I mean, we're looking for a crime. We're looking for one. We have our eyes peeled and we're looking, you know?
Eldritch Lily donatet que 5 trucs superchat. Abanif sebas gruomet, ude i ara treating aris disgusting.
Oh, thank you.
Pantu actual gruoming victims too.
Oh, we got a double witness, guys.
S'escaplais donatet $5 truc superchat. Brunies be normal challenge difficulty. Impossible.
Hell yeah, guys. Double witness. Thank you guys very much. And I would agree. I think that is probably my issue with it, right? Because if I believe that this Emmy girl was raped by Saberspark, and if I believe that this person was groomed by Black Griffin, why the fuck would you treat somebody like that? Like, if you believe this person is a victim, why would you talk to them like that? If KP really does believe that Emmy was raped by Saberspark, why the fuck would she threaten her in private DMs? If you truly believe that, you know, this person was groomed by Black Griffin, why the fuck would you ever talk to her like this? This is a victim coming to terms with, you know, the horrific grooming that they suffered at the hands of this person that's significantly older than them. It's very traumatizing. Everybody comes to these realizations at different times and what have you. Like, everybody has this performative, like, oh, there's no perfect victim. Everybody has this performative, oh, people, you know, come to terms with their assault and their trauma at their own pace. And everybody heals differently. Everybody acknowledges this differently, da-da-da-da-da. Until you do it in a way that I don't like. Until it takes time for you, dear person, to understand that you were groomed, you're not doing it at my pace, fuck you. I'm going to do it for you. Oh, Emily, I'm very sorry that you were raped by Saberspark. That's really upsetting, but you're not doing it in the way that I want, so I'm going to threaten you in a DM in order for you to capitulate to my demands. Why would you ever talk to somebody like that if you believed that they were assaulted and groomed and fucking raped? Why would you ever do that? The content, I guess you're right. The content.
Oh, it doesn't make any sense. But
No, it doesn't.
and I hesitate to use the word groomed just because I hate it so much at this point, but I have had a lot of conditioning for other things in my life that once I became 18 and realized and gave myself some authority in my own life, oh, I'm not going to do this just because this person says so. Just because this person is in my family and is telling me blah, 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 doesn't mean that I have to do that anymore. And so, anyway, to make a long story short, there are... I think it's really funny that Amy is somebody who is saying this kind of stuff. She wouldn't know. Started off very, I feel bad for her vibes. And then immediately went to, I'm blocking you. You're a danger. You know, and I'm paraphrasing here, but that is the vibe that is being directed towards me now. And I think that's also really funny considering Peter New is somebody who has said inappropriate things about girls who are underage. And that is just laughable to me. And I feel like every single person who is the most like loudly outspoken people about this situation are people who've got their own weird freaking skeletons. And I just sit here and I'm like, surely people can't believe this. Surely people have a brain.
Surely.
But apparently not, because now we're in the situation that we're in now. And it boggles my mind, and it just makes me roll my eyes, quite frankly.
Talking with Claire was pretty illuminating. I can almost understand why no one's been interested in hearing her side in all this. Because it must be pretty bloody difficult to run a story about somebody being a groomer when their primary victim, quote-unquote, won't go along with your narrative.
Yeah.
But when you start picking
exactly.
apart the eccentricities of these relationships, it becomes a hell of a lot harder to treat the people leveling these accusations as just passive observers concerned for victims. No wonder so many people want to remain anonymous. They're not just random people from the internet, they're people with large public profiles in the community. I was astonished to find that people had either outright ignored Claire's public statements on the situation or actively attacked her as somehow complicit. This is also the case with Michelle, who played Applebloom on the show, whose long-term friendship with Gabe is the origin point of these rumors. And once again, because I can hear that scratching, I don't know the truth behind the Black Griffin allegations, and neither do you. But when I said earlier that many people do not care about victims in this story, this is what I mean. Because, hypothetically, let's say this mob is correct about Black Griffin. That would mean his two primary victims, quote-unquote, have been relentlessly attacked alongside him. And the reason for this is obvious. The people leveling these accusations don't care about victims. Their motivations are entirely self-interested. Which brings us rather nicely to Sophie Scruggs. Because, as I mentioned before, Brony Fandom isn't a one-man band. The other half of this little duo has seemingly been pushing these allegations longer than Bonk has. And in her case, it's almost more bizarre because she's not a random member of this community. She was an official artist for the My Little Pony comics.
My name is Sophie Scruggs. That's SOPHIEASCRUGGS. If you want to look me up on Twitter, Sophie A. Scruggs.
I do know that she kind of spearheaded a lot of the allegations towards Gabe, and worked with, Brony Fandom, whatever, to kind of, create this wall of saying like we're the ones holding, this together, this case, and
Novel, my king, welcome.
And trying to bring the information to the light, and she's trying to say like, we need to do this. It's like a crusade. It's even in her banner or her title for her Twitter, like I believe Destiny. She's very much involved, even though she likes to have this idea that she's like, I'm not involved.
My opinion,
insane.
me speaking on that, is I think it's pretty messed up of Sophie to let a mentally ill person take the fall for her crusade.
Sophie has been obsessed with the Black Griffin story for so long, it is actually difficult to find an origin point of how this all began. But I have heard a couple of theories. The first is some nondescript traumatic event.
They also straight up use Sophie's trauma and mental illness to discredit them. Sophie seems to be suffering a lot from her own trauma, which must be incredibly tough to deal with, but she often spreads misinformation, even if unintentional.
And far from how this is being painted by lazy, this is Sophie's own
I hate when my trauma makes me lie. Ugh, that sucks.
Explanation for her behavior. However, if it helps, I actually don't believe this is true. I think the explanation is far more simple. Sophie was massively jealous of Gabe. And again, that seems to be shockingly common. Black Griffin moved from being a fan of the show to working on it. And this crops up again and again.
A former con chair told me that the reason why Gabe was always at stuff as a special guest is if you wanted to invite for Apple Bloom, Monique would basically require to also invite Gabe. They would quote unquote throw him in for free.
See what I mean? Like,
And-
the mother keeps pushing the two of them together. Why?
Yeah, and so it basically, like, they would, in order to have her, for example, if you wanted all of the Cutie Mark Crusaders, you have to have Gabe, basically. And that's kind of how he ingratiated himself into the guest of honor spot, even though he didn't really do a whole lot to earn a guest of honor spot. He did some background vocals on a few episodes, and that's it.
And to clarify too, so how it worked in the pony convention scene, I guess if you want to call it, is there the guests of honor who were specifically show staff, so like voice actors, directors, et cetera, and then there'd be people like me and Sophie and people that were just active in the fandom space that were called community guests, and Gabe was usually the only exception to that for whatever reason, and that was the reason.
But didn't he work on the fucking show? It sounds like he's not just like a community guest. He worked on the fucking show. That's not a community guest. What? Am I missing something?
Clips like this are mind-bending. You literally start the conversation by explaining how he moved to doing background vocals on the show, therefore meeting the criteria of guest of honor, and then lament that he didn't really earn it. And these fucking people are still bitching about this in current day. When MomoCon heard about KP making the DA Games video, they removed her from the guest list. KP would then cry about this to Bonk, asking him whether he could get people to vouch for her so she could get back in. And isn't it interesting that all these stories are unattributable to random former con chairs? It's all, somebody told me, or I heard this once. But realistically, that's all it ever can be, because people like Sophie and KP weren't really on the inside of any of these groups. KP
True.
basically survived off the kindness of Henry's now wife, Casey, and while Sophie was, seemingly, an official comic artist, that's much less impressive than it sounds. Sophie was basically treated like any other vendor at any of these conventions. And that seething resentment for that core circle that actually had some relevance to this community means that Sophie's interest was not just Black Griffin. She was fully aware of the allegations against Saberspark and what was going on behind the scenes. KP presented me a TSV file for their conversations, This is also the format KP used to provide me her conversations with Casey, and Casey has at least confirmed those logs are accurate. However, I note this here because whenever you're presented with something that could have been edited before it reached you, you should accept that possibility. Before we move on from Sophie, I want to just highlight one section in Lazy's video.
But also claiming that they associate with people who defend drawn child sexual abuse material?
Because that accusation of association is not random, and I want you to keep in mind the name Whoopmaster for when we get to Fandon't. But before that, I mean, I think that moves us on to sort of Sophie Scruggs and Fandon't, but why don't we start with Scruggs?
Eldritch Lily donatet que 2 trucs superchat. Insana PPL dis bitap not buying bursa famous.
Yeah, I mean, some people have real aspirations, I suppose, but nonetheless, thank you for the $2 redos. Everybody witness, please. My claim to fame is that I wrote a song for My Little Pony. Thanks, I would rather die than announce that publicly to other human beings.
Because I'm baffled at their involvement, frankly. I don't really understand it.
Okay, so here's all that I know about Sophie and my history with her.
Tell me, Queen.
I just, these people, I don't understand. It's like this weird parasocial behavior that has rapidly moved. It's like, it's dancing on the borderline of obsession. Because the moment somebody is like, knows a bunch of stuff about you, looks up to you, and I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm saying that because I've witnessed this firsthand when people treat you differently because you're a voice actor on a show that literally outside of the hotel the convention is held at, nobody gives a rat's anus about. And it is so weird to me that, and I'm using this as a specific example, and I actually had to go back and research this because I had forgot about it because it meant nothing to me. Sorry, Sophie. I'm not trying to be rude here.
Sorry, bitch.
But I don't remember that I complimented your snail once. That was something that I did in the moment because I was being friendly and nice. Now somehow I'm getting backstabbed because you decided to tweet out to everybody years ago, the last time you got frustrated that I was in a relationship with Gabe, before we were married and we had announced that we were dating, you said you were worried for your dear friend, your close friend.
Lesbians! Everyone's thinking it. Like, oh no, she's leaving me for another man. I have to do something. Go, gadget. Rape accusations.
Claire, me. And I'm sitting here going, who the hell are you? Have I even met you before? Like, what the frick?
Probably not.
Then I have to go back and I find out, oh, thank God. I actually did meet her. Okay, so she's not, totally crazy. But then I keep reading this stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is literally, I complimented your snail one time. And I think I might have DM'd you about a bag that I saw at a convention. And you were at the convention and and I walked through the vendor hall and I was like, oh, you have really pretty bags. Because one of them had my character on it. And I was like, that's so cool. I think
you got really pretty bags. Me at the rave. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding.
I might have taken a picture of it. And then I was like, hey, like, how do you sell your bag? I think I DM'd her of like, hey, how do you sell your bags? Like, I might have wanted to retweet that or promote that at some point, right?
Yeah, guys, how do you sell your bags? Tell me your secrets.
And I find out that this person is, first of all, has also been kind of a Gabe hater for a while. Like, prior to me being involved in the situation, had one person tell her one thing that was...
Vax Fidel donatet $2 australians trucs superchat. Bow complimenting day snail.
Thank you for the $2, Vax. Everybody witness. The 2 Australian. Whatever, you know what I mean. Don't be talking about my snail, dog. Those are fighting words. Don't you dare fucking say anything about my fucking snail, okay? Bitch, watch your mouth around my snail.
Complete hearsay, because this went around at conventions a lot. People were really, I think, pissed that Gabe, had found success, quite honestly. I think that's what it was. And there was this bubbling, underlying level of jealousy, basically, that had kind of started surfacing the more popular that Gabe had got within the fandom. And I think now, because, and Saberspark is another one of those people who are ending up finding success further than outside of the pony fandom, which nobody should freaking care about anymore, by the way. It's over. They're finding success. They're moving on in their lives. They're figuring out what they want to do with their careers. How am I going to pivot? How am I going to, create content? What is it going to look like now? And as they do that and they find success, these freaking bronies, and I hate to use that as an umbrella term because I know that there are plenty of bronies who are out there that are very cool and very...
Brony is derogatory.
very sweet, very nerdy, nice people who just, want to have a community and want to make friends. But there's also, like, very clearly, and I don't think this was always there, by the way. I think that it developed over the years, this, like, weird, like, sexual part of the fandom. But before that, it was just like, it was memes and like, oh, we shouldn't be watching this show because it's like for little girls. Haha, that's kind of funny. And that's how a lot of these people fell into it. That's how Aber fell into it. That's how Gabe fell into it. That's how Jeff fell into it. Like all these people, that's how it started.
Magicman donatet 4 lliures en 99 penics trucs superchat. Luke, Sana. La vela det brunies ara like Sana adult catòlic convers. Of course coexist, but this stereotypes also exist
No way.
for area son people.
What are you doing? Thank you, Magic Man, for the $4.99. Everybody witness. Hang on, I gotta turn this down. What are you doing?
Content that they were making that people really liked. And then they moved on. And people are somehow so freaking pissed. And Sophie being one of these people who keeps saying things, by the way, make up your freaking mind, Sophie. Is Gabriel successful outside of the pony fandom, or has he reached his peak already? Because you've said both, and you can't just pick and choose when you want to use that as a punching bag for some, I don't know, the end of some point you're trying to make. It doesn't make any sense. He's either successful or he's a has-been. Which one is it? Come back to me and freaking figure it out. But anyway, I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to compliment people on their snails anymore for fear that 7 years down the road, when I become an adult, that they're going to attack me after I've stood up for myself and said, hey, what you're saying is not true about me. And by the way, I'm not a close friend of yours. I don't know who you are.
About an hour and a half ago, I said to you that I didn't want to originally look at this story because I was aware of its connection to the wider Black Griffin allegations. And over the past week or so of looking at this, I realized that I was wrong. This isn't just connected to the Black Griffin allegations. This is the Black Griffin allegations. It's just the next iteration of it. Because the people going after Saberspark right now are doing so purely because he is friends with Black Griffin. And their motivation isn't whether Saberspark is innocent or guilty. Their motivation is finding anything they can to stab into any member of this group in their endless crusade against them.
If I'm not mistaken, she did come to you, right?
Brony Fandot was aware of her because Amy had told her about him, or told, him about her.
I'm saying that, like, that person came to you, though. You didn't seek them out. It was the other way around.
Yeah, she used Amy, yeah.
Okay, so that tells me she was
She's
aware
a
enough to know about the
user.
biases of Saberspark and just wanted to utilize that.
Brony Fandont is an absolute freak, and I imagine that is
True.
painfully obvious to anyone with even a passing knowledge of this drama, but don't worry, the well runs deep with this one. Their history in this community is pretty bizarre. They actually started off running a roleplay account of all things. Earlier on, I mentioned their schizophrenic thread from March, and good lord does this contain some weird lore about them. Allow me to save you some time reading it, and just provide you a simple TLDR. Fandont is a narcissistic lunatic whose greatest achievement in life is role-playing as the character Discord, something that essentially occurred accidentally through a meme account connected to their main character. Now, Fandont would describe this as accidentally laying the groundwork to be the most powerful character ever, describing this as a trial by fire, because with great power comes great responsibility. After all, guys, they were still barely a team. They keep talking about how they were getting bigger and bigger roles, how shocking it was that they had fans they'd meet at conventions. I'm gonna stop here because this is fantasy. I have yet to run into anybody, and yes, I have tried, who was even aware of this person before they started going after Black Griffin. Brony Fandont existed in a very, very niche part of this community. And sure, I get it, if you're a massive loser and you've got a few hundred people paying attention to your weird meme Twitter account, that might mean something to you. But this was Fandont's life. He had nothing else, and then suddenly, the lockdown started to happen. For it was not apathy that killed the bronies, it was a global pandemic. Obviously, the vast majority of the fanbase had already moved on from the show, but cons were still happening, and these seem to be the only interactions Fandont had with people in the real world. This is obviously just a theory for me, but timeline-wise, I really do think that this is the point where Fandont went from a bit weird to completely fucking insane. I sound like I'm being mean, but this is actually the only defense for Fandont. And it also might answer the question of why he was utilized at all. Because right now we can see Sophie and Amy lying through their fucking teeth about how neither of them thought this was a good idea, and Emily was just a bit too erratic. Ladies, your names are all over this. My advice to you would be to shut the fuck up.
Base,
Yet,
good advice.
I get it. Fandont in this story is by far the worst actor. So when throwing KP to the wolves wasn't quite enough, I guess he has to go as well. Though, as always, I am just happy to help. So let's start with the friend of all three of these people, Whoopmaster. Whoopmaster, also known as Ezekiel the Zebra, is an artist with a long history of controversy. They actually have some history with Senate, but our focus here is their pornographic
Lio
material,
Convoy.
because Whoopmaster shares similar interests to Brony Fandont. Obviously, I don't want to flashbang you with this stuff, I'm not a complete fucking amateur. Fortunately, I don't have to though, because if you want to know what sort of person Woot is, their other major controversy involves their partner, who was a pedophile, personally banned by Elon Musk. Woot's history is shockingly well known, and Fandont is constantly bringing them up, even in the DMs with KP. The reason I raise this is A, to show you what sort of person Fandont is, but secondly because it is no coincidence that Fandont is so keen to go after Saberspark, because Saber has fought with Woot publicly on Twitter. I'm honestly not sure quite how to square the circle between
Damn, Saberspark just stays winning, bro. Like, he's coming out on top. He's coming out on top. You're telling me that Saberspark was fighting with this guy over his friend being a fucking pedophile? Hell yeah, dude, let's go. Dude, this is crazy.
Who spends their entire life at the moment trying to out somebody as a groomer, while also simultaneously defending their friend who either was or is dating a pedophile, all under a backdrop of this bizarre pornography. And it is interesting, right, that Brony Fandont seems to start going after Claire, the voice actress for Sweetie Belle, the minute she gets into a relationship. It's almost as if this adult woman publicly dating somebody else ruined Fandont's fantasies. And no, I'm not going to show it to you, but Whoopmaster did at one point seemingly either draw or retweet pornographic images of Sweetie Belle.
What the
Fandome's
fuck,
crusade against
bro?
Gabe has been long running, but most
Jesus
interestingly about it
Christ.
is how he has treated Claire, because she went from his primary concern to his mortal enemy, even going so far as to deny any abuse she may have suffered from her father. For those not in the know, Claire has been very vocal about having a troubled home life, much of which seems to be dismissed by people who were a fan of her father, as he is the Canadian voice actor for Goku. When all this stuff with Fandome started,
Wow.
Claire just thought it was a dad because he has a history of making fake accounts to basically stalk her and her now husband.
Dude, what the
Evidence of him
fuck?
admitting this to her in a recording. Now, many people haven't heard this. It's part of one of the Gabe defense documents and a little bit difficult to access. So, with permission, I'm just going to play it for you.
One thing I would like to say, if you want to talk about Twitter and lying, do you have something to say for yourself, Janice?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Janice?
I formed a Twitter handle that because I didn't think it was appropriate for your to go, what a crock of shit that is, Gabe.
In case that hurts your career, if you do it on your Twitter account?
Oh, no. Just because it's kind of human. That's all. And I completely
So
admit
cyberbullying is human.
I completely admit to
Yes.
it.
Really? You never told me.
Why would I tell you?
You blocked me on Twitter.
Big deal.
So you
I'm
didn't
so
wanna see
lost
me.
right
Like,
now.
You'll tell me.
I'm so lost right now.
I'm telling you right now. I'm not.
Why did you block me on Twitter?
This is where I'm starting to get lost. This video is starting to lose me. We've got like way too much shit going on right now. We got way too much shit going on right now. I am thoroughly lost in the weeds. Beckett, fuck you.
I'm not. What do you block?
Janice blocked on Twitter.
Fine. Do you want? I can unblock you. You know what? Now that it's all in the open, I'll really do it. Because I think.
Did you know about this?
I think that people. No, one knows nothing about this. I think that people that need to be called out when they're full of it. And frankly, there's a huge component of his followers that go, "What the hell are you tweeting for at 3 a.m. for?"
That is very common for him, so I don't know what you're doing.
Well aware of it's not like he's on tour in REO Speedwagon and they're playing gigs till 2 a.m. He's doing nothing.
You are trying to sabotage him and his career and everything about him, and that is the way you're going about it. Instead of talking and you're
Her dad made an alt account to talk shit about her husband. Oh my god, what in the Real Housewives shit is this, dude? What? This is untold levels of psychopathy.
You're swooving your freaking way around every other possibility that could get you.
And his extra Twitter account said...
Which you denied.
I did not deny it.
Yeah, Gabe sent you a DM, said quit it. I know what this is about. And
Yeah.
you were like, oh, just another hater.
That's not denying anything. I am a hater.
That's me as fuck. I'm not denying shit. I am a hater. Based! Okay.
First of all, quarantine in your fucking room. Bye.
I have one more thing.
What do you have now?
Why is it done?
What is all this bullshit? Oh, I'm gonna go into family therapy like this.
You said family therapy. Bullshit. You liar.
Fucking liar. It's got nothing to do. I know you're gonna try to equate. Fuck off.
Whatever you think about the Black Griffin allegations, people are just denying this happened to her because it doesn't fit with their narrative. And if you're somebody who claims to care about victims, this seems like a pretty callous and uncaring thing to do. And it has served to silence these people, because why would they speak out? In fact, Black Griffin offered to speak to me, and I realized that was a pointless endeavor and a waste of my time and his, because whatever he said, none of his detractors will believe him. A significant portion of the conversations I've had with Michelle and Claire are in reference to these allegations, but on reviewing it, I realized putting it in may be completely pointless. What I will say is both of them have spoken plainly and openly to me about these accusations. That being said, I do think there is one particular use for these conversations, because one thing they serve to highlight is the insane level of A-logging these people have been subjected to over the years. We're talking anything public about these people. It's been trawled through and picked apart by this lunatic to find anything damaging, and I want to show you that through the perspective of Michelle.
With Gabe and Claire, the irony is, we've calculated now that Gabe and Claire met outside of conventions roughly 6 to 7 times. And we've gone through all of our photos, all of our videos, like collectively, to calculate accurately how many times it would have been when she was a minor outside of like, conventions, and it still would have usually, like, that's including like video shoots. It just happens to be that literally 5 out of 7 of those times were filmed. So to these people, it looks like so much. It was like, those were literally the only times they interacted. And then maybe the other 2 times were my 2 birthdays. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so, the irony is crazy. It's just like, those were literally the only times they saw each other. Oh, and one other time, we saw like Book of Mormon. And I don't think we filmed any videos there, but we like posted
Book of Mormon.
So it's literally all these times they're finding, those are the only examples. Like, no more exist, essentially.
I don't understand how it's the people who are taking this way too seriously that get so wrapped up in this. And they're like, look at here, they're by themselves. And I'm like, no, we're not.
I'm starting to experience viewer fatigue. Anybody else? I'm kind of like, all right, let's get back on topic. You know, we've spent a lot of time talking about Black Griffin. A lot of time. I'm starting to get viewer fatigue. I'm like, all right, next.
We're with another person. They're right freaking there. And they just take screenshots of, which I think is so funny, the fact that they're like screenshots from videos that I made. And someone's like, please send this to Claire. We can still get her out. There's still time. I'm like, why is your goal that you want me to get divorced? Or is it a step further?
Yeah. Yeah.
You want me to freaking marry you because that's creepy. You know why? Because unlike Gabriel, you guys have been obsessed with me since I was 13. So maybe think about that the next time you look at yourself in the freaking mirror. Jeez.
So
Jeez
one of the things that
Louise.
people, you know, claim is an inaccuracy that counters reality of how many times, you know, Gabe and Claire spent together and how close friends they were was Gabe saying we weren't friends. I know Gabe's definition of friends. I know he would not have considered Claire a friend because he would consider somebody a friend that he had, you know, contact with, phone number. He only had Claire's phone number, I don't know, some point like 2017-ish because one of her parents gave him, or no, one of her parents gave Claire Gabe's number, and that actually made Gabe really uncomfortable. And I was there when he first received a text from her, and he was like, oh God, why did they give Claire my number? I don't want her to have my number. There were other people in the room too, so I'm not even the only witness to that. But they, again, we've calculated it specifically. They only spent 6 to 7 times approximately together outside of conventions. And I think, 5 or so of those times were filmed. And there was only one instance during our entire childhood minority period where Gabe and Claire and I, just the 3 of us, were alone. And it's that one video of us going out into the woods. And I deleted it because I felt showing the dead raccoons was inappropriate. I deleted
the
it.
Dead raccoons? What's happening?
It was kind of a gross video.
What the fuck?
Literally the only instance. And these people somehow went, I don't even know how they found it. And they thought I deleted it because
Que hagi donatet $5 truc superchat. Is it fa fetchet to say this is as confusing as the video?
Thank you for the $5, Kaji, everybody. Witness? Honestly, no. This is like a 2-hour-long fucking monstrosity. When did this segment even start? It started like... What? Like here? More than half of the video is about fucking Black Griffin. I am fatigued. This is confusing. It's very long. It's very, let's get back to the point. I am very tired of talking about Black Griffin. This video isn't even fucking about Black Griffin. Let's please return to the topic.
The comments were inappropriate. It was literally a super popular video. I deleted it because I just thought it was gross. And I've deleted, I don't know, I unlisted a bunch of videos a long time ago because I was just I don't know, we're just kind of being immature. I didn't like showing a pile of 5 dead raccoons on my channel. That just wasn't professional. I was focusing on my music. So I unlisted a bunch of those videos I just thought weren't really, I wouldn't want people to go back and see now just for my own sake. Not because not because the comments were inappropriate of, Gabe's taking 2 young girls out in the woods. We were there for probably an hour and it's 5 minutes away from my house. And both of our sets of parents would have approved it. And literally every other time Claire and Gabe would have ever seen each other when Claire was a minor, parents and many other adults would have been around. Every single time. That's the one video. And they used that one single video that I even deleted and they somehow found, I don't know how, as proof that they spent time alone. It's completely untrue. Completely untrue.
Now, to some of you, this might feel like new information, or flies in the face of what you've been told previously, but there's 2 things I'd like you to keep in mind. Firstly, that the people who are going after this group are really dumb. One of the questions I had, actually, generally, is there's so much focus on Claire being married to Gabe, but these sort of, I don't know, rumors or the way people thought about the relationship started with you. So it's very interesting that they've focused in on Claire. People, they seem to be going, well, we know this person, we care about this person, we want to save this person. And you, who were also involved, kind of get sidelined. And the fact that you don't really know them or have any interactions with them is almost a bit telling that...
Oh, but they're basically, they're strangers. Essentially, they're strangers. I know nothing about them, they know nothing about us, Maybe Claire's interacted with the specific people a couple more times than me, it sounds. She has more specific memories, but it is interesting too, how many examples and stuff that people have sent me, screenshots where they mix us up too. It'll be some picture 10 years ago, or they think it's Gabe, but it's actually me with my short hair and Claire, just silly stuff like that. They can't even tell us apart. It's hysterical.
And secondly, until we reached out, no one has tried interviewing these 2 women. And what makes that particularly insane is not the level of incompetence on display, it's the fact that people like Amy New have direct lines to them and never thought to ask. Since these new rumors have kicked up, we'll say in the last few years, or the campaign against Black Griffin started, have people tried to actually approach you for your opinion on this, or actually cared what you think? Because it appears with Claire's like, no, this isn't happening, that's not the way any of this occurred, you're wrong. And people have gone, well, of course she thinks that, she's a victim and protecting her husband, and now she's evil. Have you sort of experienced similar stuff, or have you just been sort of sidelined?
And no one's ever asked us. If these people actually were concerned that we were taken advantage of as minors, they've never asked us. They claim to know us. They could have, well, do you think you have our phone number or email? We have peers in common, we have colleagues in common. You're really that concerned about us? It's insulting. We're 25-year-old adults. And frankly, they don't have any idea how young we had to become adults as well. So you want to treat us like fully, professional people at the age of 13 paying taxes and doing all this stuff, having full careers for already, 5+ years, and yet we're too immature to know our own circumstances and our own past and present. It's very. I mean, again, if there weren't all these ramifications for Gabe's career, none of us would care at all. That's why none of us have talked about it for the longest time, because it's always just garbage. I'm not going to be offended by something someone says if I don't know them. I don't value your opinion. I don't know you. So only now, I mean, this is probably honestly the last time I'm going to talk about it is with you guys, because I appreciate that you're the first people I've seen that are actually trying to get to the bottom of this. But we all just want to move on. I mean, we're digging up our lives from 10+ years ago because these people who have never even met us claim to know what's happened in our lives, but don't take any weight in our perspective.
After all this time and effort spent silencing people who were actually involved in speaking for the potential victims of Black Griffin, Bernie Fandout must have been jumping for joy when Courtney Pete was making a video, and then Lazy Bedhead, and then comes KP, and allegations against Saber.
It was like Christmas.
April must have looked like a very good month for Fandout. But then, everything begins to fall apart. Fandout had wanted the spotlight, he wanted attention, and when he finally got it, well, that monkey paw curled in a very particular way. So let's have a look at the fallout from his side, and his interesting reactions. We've already gone.
I wonder why he doesn't play the voice.
So let's have a look at the fallout from his side, and his interesting reactions. We've already gone over much of Fandout's reactions to KP directly, but it bears repeating that the first public statement from the Fandout account came from Sophie, not from Bonk. Bonk's concern lay primarily in the fact that he realized quite quickly that this video might be damaging to the accusations against Saberspark and DA Games. While he says that he doesn't want to shit on KP and just get people to hate on her, it wouldn't take long before the pressure really started to get to him. Now we're going to skip ahead a bit to when things get interesting around the 12th, because as things have been moving behind the scenes...
No, it does feel like sweeping. It does feel like sweeping to me, because, like, regardless of what you think about Bernie Fandout and his involvement in all of this, and yes, KP had just as much of a grudge as Bernie Fandout, if not a bigger grudge than Bernie Fandout, because she's been on this circuit for 12 years, okay? I highly doubt that Bernie Fandout has been running this rat race for 12 years, okay? I don't believe that to be true at all, unless you can show me otherwise. KP acted with incredible precision, malice, intent, vindictiveness, whatever words you want to use, and to not play that audio clip, I think is, at least for me, a demonstration that there is some sweeping involved. Because if you, truthfully, think that after all the dust is settled, and that is how KP chose to speak to Emily behind the scenes, if that, for whatever reason, is not included in this, I would consider that to be a massive fucking sweep job, because that audio clip is the final nail in the coffin for me, so...
Bonk wasn't idle. He'd been plotting with Emily to save the sinking ship, becoming increasingly confident once KP was out of the way, he'd be able to emerge the hero. This would all come to a screeching halt, however, when Saberspark released his response. Saber, again, has denied these accusations, but more importantly, the video isn't addressed to Emily, focusing more towards KP and Fandout and their...
And for very good reason. Because they are the ones that curated this, yes.
Devious little schemes. Fandout, at this point, predictably, panics, saying the response would be coming within the next few hours. This response would not come. Most hilariously, he said that he was documenting other people's responses, which further made him a complete fucking laughingstock. And this would just be the beginning of what turned into a god-tier crash-out. Fandout would blame this lack of response on an unnamed drama channel. At the time, I thought this was probably me. It might also be Oplock, because I do know from her DM she was watching his streams.
Oh, no Malcolm mention? I was live streaming while he was trying to fucking redact it. Oh, what? Stolen valor, hello?
But I am named in KP's unhinged voicemail. I'd said to KP that we had very good evidence that it was...
Play the fucking voicemail.
...me, and she should talk to me or at least somebody at this point, given what was unfolding with the situation. Either way, fucking hilarious. Now, at time of recording, the Bernie Fandout account is locked, which makes me very grateful for channels like Internet Versus, because this lack of a further statement from Emmy seems to have seriously messed with Fandout's plans. He'd begin wildly lashing out at everyone from KP to Lazy Bedhead, saying he didn't want to hand over power to people like Oplock. When this didn't work, he basically concedes defeat and moves to a Hail Mary play. Now, one thing you should know about Bonk is, at the slightest pressure, this guy will say that he's going to end himself. So against the current insane tirade against him, this ramped up significantly, as he posted a link to a Twitch stream in which he's walking in the rain. Now, I want to be a touch sensitive here, not in deference to Fandout, but this is a topic that touches a lot of people's lives, unfortunately, myself included. For that reason, I take stuff like this pretty seriously, and I get really angry when I think people are baiting this shit for sympathy. Rather, I'd like to focus on the actions of others because, despite the shit that Bonk has pulled, there was almost universal concern for his well-being. Multiple people would phone wellness checks, giving out landmarks and identifying information to try and help the police track this guy down and stop him harming himself. Even Sophie would apparently do the right thing, taking access to the account away from Bonk and locking it. And this wasn't just from his friends. Angry Slug and Lio both made serious efforts to try and protect this guy. The actual wellness check that
All right,
did the
Lio,
trick
let's go.
apparently came from Baja, somebody who was friends with Bonk but had fallen out with him over his insane takes on pornography. And that's largely the last we've heard of Bonk for the moment. He's apparently in some kind of medical care, which, let's be honest, he desperately needs. But before finishing up with this freak, again, I'd like you to hear Claire's thoughts on the guy who's been harassing her for years. I think it also moves us quite nicely on to Bandone, actually.
Very interesting individual. He started off by being, and again, like, I have no problem answering people's questions if they're genuinely asking me a question. Or if they start, which he did, by saying, this is a situation I'm bringing to light. Claire has been groomed by Black Griffin, also known as Gabriel Brown, and everybody should know about it. And he proceeded with this whole long thread, and I read it, and I was like, oh, this is hilarious. Like, surely people are not, gonna bite on this. And then I saw that, like, enough people were that it started to kind of annoy me. And I was like, what the heck? So I was like, listen, this guy's like, clearly he's been in the My Little Pony fandom for a long time. He definitely knows who I am, and so I feel like I should, kind of make communication with him, and I did. And I said, hey man, like, basically this is, I appreciate the sentiment. I'm okay. What you think is happening is not happening. It didn't happen, and it certainly didn't happen with Michelle either. So could you just, go ahead and problem solved. You don't have to be a hero. I don't need saving, and Michelle doesn't need saving. We're good. None of this happened. I was not groomed, And he just turned immediately and became extremely defensive and didn't care what I had to say after that.
No, you're a liar! You turned her against me! You've done that yourself.
Against what he was saying, and he was not going to have that. This is not somebody who is worried for me, and once I say something on the matter, and this is why it's so annoying when people are like, this person needs to make a statement, this person needs to make a statement. I'm like, why? Because it depends who it's for. If we're talking about people who are my fans know that I'm chilling. My fans follow me on Instagram and Twitter or whatever, and see that I'm very happy in my life and my relationship, and I'm fine. And he, I think, got, he was observing this on his other accounts, and me, by this I mean me and Gabe, like, dating. When we had come out and announced that we were dating, we were worried about that, because we know that there are some people in this fandom who are, a little bit loony, for lack of a better terminology. And those people are, will spread stuff about you. And that was something that we were like, let's pick our moment, basically. But eventually we were like, you know what, who cares? Like, I am very happy in this relationship. And Gabe was like, I'm very happy in this relationship. We had kind of talked about it, and we're like, yeah, I feel like we can kind of let our followings know. And we have a shared following, but we also have separate following. And it's kind of funny, because it's like, when you announce that you're like dating someone seriously, or like getting married, like, you lose a bunch of followers.
I'm crashing out.
For me, I like, I have...
My interest is dwindling. I'm crashing out. How much longer of this is there?
I had a lot of people who spoke out, and I got the vibe that they were kind of sad that I was off the market. And I'm like, okay, no offense, but like, as if you had a shot. Like, that's just kind of, some of the people in the fan base are like that. But then there are other people who are super happy for us, and they were like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Like, I'm a fan of both of you. That's so fun. Like, I love seeing people who are, like-minded get together, and like, man, you guys are going to be power couples. So like, it was really nice. But like, this, where Brony Fandom lies is one of those loony people. And no matter what I said, I realized talking to him directly was literally met with fire every single time. I'm like,
hey man, that's a you thing. I don't know. I didn't do anything.
Is there a way that you, like, I don't know why you're doing this. I don't know why you feel like you have to. Like, I don't know what else I can say to, like, alleviate your concerns. And then I started realizing, oh, these aren't concerns. This is now an attack. And then I had speculated, actually, for a while, that this could have been my own dad, because my dad has done stuff like this before. The language was very similar. I had alluded to some, sassy remarks I made with Brony Fandom's this account. And I was just trying to kind of gauge the waters, and I'm like, yeah, I found out that it wasn't him, and I was like kind of relieved, but I also was kind of mad, because I was like, well, dang, now we just have like another crazy person with the same kind of mentality, and they just want Gabe deplatformed. And I actually DM'd them, and I had a whole conversation with him where I was like, all right, like, I'm gonna level with you, dude. Like, I don't...
I mean, to play devil's advocate as the devil that I am, I guess a question here that I think is worth considering, at least, I don't know if this has any, like, merit to anything like that, because, again, like I said, I don't know a ton about the Black Griffin situation, but something worth pondering your orb about, I think, is, like, let's pretend for a second, like, in a hypothetical alternate timeline, that this girl was groomed by Black Griffin. Let's just pretend that that did happen. Would it not be normal for the dad to, like, crash the fuck out over that? Like, I feel like that would kind of be, like, a regular response, at least in my opinion, right? Like, if I was a parent and my kid started dating this person that's significantly older than them, that knew them at a very young age, and this, that, and the other thing, I feel like I would probably crash the fuck out a little bit about that as well. Again, it's just worth considering, right? That's something that I might, ponder if I gave a bunch of fucks about this situation. But I was here to learn about Saberspark and Kim Possible, but instead we've been here for an hour and a half. But I just think that, like, all things considered, I obviously don't know a ton about the situation. I don't know the truth of the situation, whatever the fuck. No one has a crystal ball. But I think that that is something worth considering. Like, I think that I would also crash the fuck out.
Isaki Kentai donatet $4.99 truc superchat. Says right you know. Yun subet and stopet batching as soon as you say it wife the first time.
I'm sorry. It's just never going to happen, Hizaki. I'm so sorry. It's not you, it's me. Thank you for the $4.99, everybody witness. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I completely understand. I'm just saying, generally speaking, just something to consider, I suppose. Because I think that I would go fucking apeshit if I believed that my child was being groomed as well. But, you know, neither here nor there. Nobody, I think that it's God that is going to know the truth of all of this, and that's really it. But, I don't know, just something to consider, I suppose.
I don't know what your goal is here or your game, but I'm fine. And I don't know, like, why you're so angry about this still. Like, and it seems like you're more angry the fact that I've come out and I've said, like, this is not true now. But the whole conversation, I mean, if you even can read it, he posted it, like, a while ago, but it was basically, like, he said, like, you shouldn't have a relationship with minors if you're an adult at all. And then I got curious and I started doing some research. And from literally, like, almost no effort at all of research, I was like, oh, okay, this person had, like, a role-playing account. They deleted a bunch of their, they deleted a bunch of stuff that they used to, like, communicate with me, that is, like, no longer on X anymore. But they used to communicate with me. So I'm like, so what is it that you feel so guilty or bad about talking to minors? Not even adding the words sexually to this or inappropriate. Literally just, you cannot talk to minors. And so it was very creepy to me, quite honestly, that he started saying stuff like this. And the more that he was saying that, then I started looking into it and I was like, okay, the full con thing, like, I'm sorry, if you're normalizing, I don't care what it is, if you're drawing a freaking cabinet and you're sexually attracted to a cabinet and you say that the cabinet is 4 years old, that's really creepy. I don't care what that thing is. If it is underage and it is being sexualized and you're buying or commissioning that as porn, that is predator behavior. And I think that he's totally projecting because I don't know. I know that I don't like just like throwing things around, especially because I know what it's like to have these words thrown at me and my own husband. But that's pretty pedophilic behavior, and it's normalizing sexualizing young people and children, and it's disgusting. There's no loophole there. You don't get to defend why your thing is slightly different and not okay and not hurting people. Well, guess what, Brony fan don't? You're hurting me. How about that? You're hurting me. Now you've hurt one person. Write that down. So is that going to make you
put that in your pipe and smoke it, bitch?
Stop getting commissioned freaking underage cartoon porn? Probably not, because there's going to be something else that you're going to defend about it the next time. I'm sick of that's so sickening.
This story is one of the weirdest things I have ever covered. When I began, I expected it to be a fairly simple tale about some girl who had a grudge against another content creator and was prepared to go to any lengths to ruin him. I did not expect to be having conversations with the voice actresses from My Little Pony and dealing with a conspiracy to ruin their lives that seemingly has been running for years now. But as we've got through all the conspirators, I guess it's time for some final thoughts on this entire mess. Firstly, let's return to KP. During my interviews with her, I said I didn't really know where I came down on whether this was malice or stupidity, and I actually don't know really if that's changed. I think it's...
How can you trudge through the trenches of KP being a vindictive, spineless little weasel fuck, slithering around in the background, recording people, clipping things dishonestly, including things dishonestly, editing the victim's fucking statement, the alleged victim's fucking statement. And you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe she's just dumb. Maybe she's just an idiot. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows exactly what she's doing. She did it on purpose. She purposefully clipped Chris. She purposefully recorded Chris and sat on it for years before she decided to dishonestly clip it and edit it to put in her fucking hit piece. What are you talking about? He lost me.
Probably decent quantities of both. One thing I will point out is KP has been very forthcoming with information and does seem legitimately remorseful. Whether these are
legitimately remorseful? Is that why it's like pulling teeth to get her to even consider the outcome of her actions? She seems genuinely remorseful, even though she just considered today that it's fucking insane to want a guy crucified in the town square for making a joke 12 fucking years ago. 12 fucking years ago. Really? Ugh.
Genuine feelings, a response to being thrown under the bus, or an attempt to avoid being sued into oblivion.
She didn't get thrown under the bus. She crawled her fucking little weaselly snake belly under the bus and chose to live there. And then she left a little fucking trail of Skittles for everybody else to get trapped under the fucking bus with her. She intentionally chose to live under the bus. This is like when there's somebody who literally chooses to be homeless and it's like, oh, well, it's circumstances. It's like, no, That guy just really liked being homeless. We've offered him somewhere to live. He doesn't want to live anywhere. He's choosing it. She chose to live under the bus. Out of all the places to live, that's where she picked, under the bus.
I'll leave up to you. But what I've experienced with KP largely lines up with what other people have said to me about her. She is fairly lost and fairly clueless. Turning up
She's not clueless, she's calculated, she's vindictive, and she's manipulative. She's not fucking clueless. She made a fantastic hit piece on Lily Orchard. To my understanding, it's one of the more popular videos that she's ever done. She intentionally recorded Chris's confession, intentionally listened to it back, intentionally clipped it dishonestly, and intentionally included it in her video, and intentionally obfuscated the true nature of what actually happened intentionally to intentionally look like him, to make him look like an intentional masturbator. Yes! He was drunk in it!
Who is this Calvin Garrar? Who is he?
Thank you, DZ. Everybody witness. Intentionally! Everybody witness. This is the female privilege. This is the female privilege I was warning you all about earlier. It's coming out again. It is resurfacing. Oh, she's just a silly, goofy, dumb little bimbo bitch. No, she's not. She's cold. She's calculated. She's a killer, Bella. This is the skin of a killer. Okay? She knows what she's doing. She did it on purpose. Oh, she's just a silly little blonde bimbo, airhead whore who loves My Little Pony. Only someone with 7 brain cells would like, no. You're giving her the pass because she's a woman. You would never accept this if it was a man. Oh, I'm so tired of female privilege, you guys. Oh, women!
Our first conversation kind of baked. So it doesn't come as a surprise to me that when I came back to her to ask about Chris, she'd ask me this.
Are you cool with me coming to process to you, like, in general? Like,
Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking flip out. I'm glad that we made it to the end of the video for this. This is manipulative. This is manipulative. This is something that really manipulative people do all the time, where they position themselves as the weaker, meek one in the conversation so you feel like you have to take care of their feelings. Really manipulative people love this. They love this. And I know Kim Possible knows this. And I know Beckett knows this, so I don't know why the fuck he's falling for this. For these crocodile, snake, woman tears. The devil vagina magic. I don't know why, okay? If I have a conversation, let's say that I did something really fucking crazy. I did something super fucked up, you guys. It was really, really bad. It was really, really bad. And Kel Doge comes to me, and he's like, Malcolm, what the fuck was up with this? I hear that you were dishonestly clipping people. I hear that you were making up allegations and shit to try and ruin someone's life. What the fuck is that about? And we have a conversation about it. And then Kel Doge is like, this is still kind of fishy. I'm going to come back and ask Malcolm some more questions because I this isn't making sense to me. I need more information. And as soon as I get into a call with Kel Doge, I go, I've been having a really hard time, and people just really aren't understanding my perspective, and so it seems like I'm really trying to do like the right thing here, but it just feels like no matter what I say, it's like the wrong thing to say, and so even when I'm trying to do the right thing, Kel Doge, I'm really trying to, like, I really mean it, like I know that I messed up, and I'm trying to do better, okay, I really am, but I just don't know what people want to hear. Like, can you please, like, just let me be, like reach out to you so you can, like, vibe check me? Is that okay? Like, can I please, like, can you let me know if this, like, sounds good? Because, like, I just don't know. It's just not landing right. And Keldo just like, oh my fucking god, Malcolm's an idiot.
Isaki Kentai donatet $4 amb 99 centaus truc superchat. It was for my protection que pesait vila twisting blada into the sleeping target.
Hell yeah, you're 100% right. Everybody witness Sasaki, thank you. If I'm in this situation with Keldoge is gonna be like, oh no, Malcolm's fucking stupid. I have to baby him. Look, this poor, helpless, lost bimbo has no idea how to navigate this this very serious conversation where literally he could have gotten someone fucking killed. Wow. Better go easy. It's very obvious that Malcolm's really going through it, and he's just, you know, he's trying his best, but he's just too fucking dumb to realize the consequences of his actions after I have maliciously and calculatedly behind the scenes curated this exact fucking response. That's what manipulative people love to do that. That allows me to emotionally manipulate Keldoge. That allows me to have control in the situation. Because if Keldoge thinks that I'm this dumb fucking bimbo, like, scared lamb, then Keldoge is not gonna push me. Keldoge is not gonna kneel on me. Right? He's gonna, oh, I have to take it easy on Malcolm. Malcolm's too dumb to know what he was doing was wrong. Come on. Come on. This is... I'm gonna be misogynistic for 1 second. I get one misogynist. This is the ultimate woman card, okay? Women love this shit, and it works really fucking well. Obviously, it worked on Beckett. This is woman manipulation 101. That's what this is. Write that down.
I don't know. It just I don't want to look at anything that's gonna trigger me, and then Lio won't tell me anything because he's afraid he's gonna trigger me.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, again, I want to be clear that I am making a video on you. I think there's that separation. I'm no one's therapist.
And she's gonna go, I know, I just... Okay, she knows exactly what the fuck she's doing.
Looking for some repercussions to hit KP, and I don't blame any of you for that position. This kind of thing is devastating to a channel. I'm really not sure how you actually come back from something like this. And to be honest, the real damage...
She's the one who wanted to tar and feather Chris and have him fucking defenestrated in the town square for a joke. And we're gonna give KP the pass here. Well, how do you even record? Her channel is basically dead, guys. Her channel is basically, like, who cares? An eye for an eye, alright? Eye for an eye, alright? You wanted Chris tar and feathered and crucified and hung upside down and beat with sticks for days on end, like a fucking tarred pinata, okay? And it's like, oh, well, guys, she lost some subscribers. Guys, like, what do we... Oh, it's not like anybody is gonna watch her YouTube... Fuck you guys! This is ridiculous! She is a cold, calculated fucking snake, alright? She is a snake. She is the Marquis of Snakes. The Defiler, okay? Fuck! God damn it! Fuck! She's not even that hot! How does she keep getting away with this? She can't keep getting away with this, you guys. If it was Megan Fox, I could understand. Oh my fucking god! Ah!
That's been done to her is she has basically burnt all her bridges with her old remaining friends. And my final thought on this really is that the only person who can judge KP fairly is Saberspark and how he feels about the shit she pulled.
What about Chris? What about Chris? What about Saberspark? What about Will? What about fucking Black Griffin? What about everybody that she fucked over that she asked to voice her fucking YouTube clip readout things for her fucking video? What about all the people that she threw under the bus? What about June the King? What about all these people? What about them? What? What is happening? Guards! Kill me! What is happening?
As a core point to this entire thing, if there is a lesson to be learned, it is about evidencing the claims we are making as creators. And I have actively avoided including claims...
If there's anything to be learned about this, it's don't trust bronies, first and foremost. Number two, secondly, don't trust women. Those are the two claims.
...couldn't in some way substantiate either with evidence or additional testimonies. I have now heard the other side of the allegations being made by Emily, but I have largely dodged around talking about them and her for a very simple reason. It is not fair to me or to you as an audience for me to be presenting takes that will clearly have been biased by what I now know. As long as Saber is off the record, and I have been clear about this with him, I cannot use what he tells me, and to his credit, he wouldn't want me to. But one thing...
Oh, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. He's like, I'm in literal legal shit with this bitch. I'll talk to you off the record, but you can't... And he's like, well, I can't post it even. Duh! Water is wet? Clocks go clockwise? Bears shit in the woods? What?
That
I'm
was
crashing
pointed
out
out to me by Lazy Bedhead is that I clearly, from the start, had issues with these allegations, and she felt me not highlighting this previous bias made me slightly disingenuous. But my Twitter hasn't gone anywhere, and I was tweeting out about this on May the 2nd before I'd even begun looking at this in earnest.
May the 2nd
so,
be with you.
For the sake of transparency, let's just go over my thoughts and why I had issues with this to begin with. My primary problem with these allegations, having gone over many like them over the years, is that, to me, Emily tells on herself. My exact comments were, unless there is more, Saber is autistic and led her on, for like a year mind, talking about a relationship, which is shitty, but not cancel-worthy. Plus, people are just glossing over the fact that this is seemingly multiple meetings and combos, which adds a lot of grey to this. And when we come to the actual statement, we can find that Emmy is talking about being demisexual, multiple comments about Saber mentioning a relationship, and also talking about how she needed to get over her crush because she felt her emotions were being toyed with. To me, and this is just my opinion, this statement reads far more like somebody who was pissed off and has been pissed off for years that the guy she liked decided not to date her.
I agree.
And I say this because my experience has been that people tell on themselves, often unable to omit their actual reasons for taking a particular course of action. This is, of course, me just explaining my biases and my tweets on this particular situation. We all undeniably have these biases, whether you are on the listen and believe or victim side.
Scones en jam donatet 2 lliures trucs superchat. Ara suma money for smokers and butter.
Hell yeah. Thank you for the $2 redos. Everybody witness. God bless. I will certainly need many of those.
Side, or the evidence or it didn't happen side. Truthfully, most people are going to fall somewhere in the middle of that spectrum. The issue only really comes when people are trying to ruin each other's lives based on hearsay. And once again, hopefully for the final time now, I don't know the truth behind these allegations. Whether it is Saberspark or Black Griffin, nobody does, except for the people directly involved. I am also not unsympathetic if there are real victims and the well has been poisoned, because the people who were handling those claims have been brutally discredited.
The people who... KP?
In fact, you'll notice that I barely talk about the DA Games accusations, because from what I've seen of it, it might have some legs, and because KP's video is so bad, that particular well has yet to actually be poisoned because most people don't even realize that that's what her video is about. So if there is something there, I hope somebody competent looks into it. If you've enjoyed this content, please hit the buttons below the video. It does help the channel and I do appreciate it. Thanks to all-
Oh, thank God we're free. Oh my God, fuck. I can take my headphones off. Oh, I don't have to listen to myself talk. I mean, all things considered, I would still consider this to be a little sweepy. Just a little sweepy, because it's like, KP is... I would say, I'm going to use a loose comparison. I'm going to be terminally online for a minute. This is reminiscent to me of the cataclysm / Lewis McClung thing, where Lewis McClung was the one that got fucking crucified over the shit with Danky Jabo. But cataclysm was the one that was snaking around in the background. Cataclysm was the one that kind of set all of this into motion. Was she not? She was, okay? So realistically, let's be totally fucking honest. Kim Possible is, in my opinion, the one that deserves the most smoke, okay? Even if, you know, Brony Fando did this, Brony Fando did that, Brony Fan, blah, 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 blah. I don't care, okay? KP is the one who scripted the video, made the video, altered the witness testimony, and then made a fucking meme slop pile of shit. Dishonestly clipped people, dishonestly framed herself in the emails that she showed on screen and all this other shit. She is the one that put it all together. It's just like... It's incredibly frustrating to me because none of this, like, pretend that the Brody Fandom was still, you know, schizophrenically tweeting, zeeting, whatever the fuck you want to call it, that this Sophie bitch was still being crazy behind the scenes, that all these people were still, like, crashing the fuck out. None of this ever would have come to fruition without Kim Possible making this video. They would have stayed on their little schizophrenic Twitter threads. That's where it would have stopped and ended. That would have been the alpha and the omega. The beginning and the end is schizophrenic Twitter threads, which is truthfully where it belonged the entire time. None of this would have happened if Kim Possible did not make the video. That's what it comes down to. It is Kim Possible's fucking fault. She is the one that didn't validate, you know, didn't trust. She trusted but didn't verify. She, you know, went behind everybody's back in the snakiest fucking way. Didn't take anybody's advice. They told her this was a bad idea. Even Lio fucking Convoy said this was a bad idea, and she chose to do it anyway. It is entirely her fault. It is entirely her fault. I don't care if there were 100 Brody Fandones giving her information. She chose to make, script, publish, edit that video. That was her. She did that. No one held a gun to her head. She chose to do it. She chose to include the Saberspark allegations in a video that she had been working on for months because she got the drop. There is no other accountability that needs to be taken. Brody Fandom is a fucking freak, okay? All these people involved are fucking freaks. Yes, they're bronies. They're all fucking crazy. Kim Possible is the one that wove the schizophrenic strings together. She is the needle. They are all the individual threads. They could have never made a beautiful embroidered piece of art without Kim Possible holding and threading the needle. It is her fault. She bears the burden. Woman, blame her! Witch! I'm crashing out. Crashing out.